He's a big talker. He was fast. 30 years probably.
Good evening. City of Salem, the City Council Committee on Administration and Finance, co-posted with the Committee of the Whole, met in the Council Chamber Tuesday, May 31, 2016 at 6:05 p.m. for the purpose of discussing the matters listed below. Notice of this meeting was posted on May 17, 2016 at 2:37 p.m. No one is absent from the committee. All members are present. And from the Committee of the Whole, we have Councilor Lovely, as well as Council President Josh Turiel. Also in attendance is Clerk Eileen Sacco, and we have seated at the other end of the dais, I guess, is Mayor Driscoll, as well as Sarah Stanton, our Finance Director. Before we get started, the subject matters for this evening, we're beginning our budget process and reviewing the fiscal year 2017 budget. I would note that we are actually live on SATV. This is not being taped. This is live, which I'm thrilled about. And I know that for the duration of our other meetings that we'll be having this year, we will be on SATV. I'm unclear yet as to whether or not each one of those will be live or taped, but just the fact that we have this available to the public, this is where the majority of our question asking and answering takes place, because and it's over a period of 5 nights. So this is the first of those 5 nights. But tonight we will be going over public services, the snow and ice, enterprise funds, sewer and water. We'll be going over the engineering department, administration, enterprise funds, sewer, water, trash and recycling, the recreation and community service department, including administration, golf course, witch house, Winter Island, the council on aging, the library, and the veterans department. All of those are up for this evening. I would also note that we have all of these matters scheduled, like I said, over the course of approximately 5 days. The next day will be Thursday, June 2nd, and we will be going over at that time the mayor's office, legal department, human resources, the city clerk, city council, elections, planning, the Conservation Commission, Planning Board, Market and Tourism, Historic Commission, and the Fire Department. And I won't go through the whole list here, but Monday, June 6th, as well as Tuesday, June 7th, and finally Thursday, June 9th at 6 p.m. Will be the final meeting of subcommittee meetings. With all of that being said, what I would like to do is we'll open up this process so that councilors from the committee first have a first crack at asking questions, then councilors from the Committee of the Whole can ask their questions. Then we'll also open it up to the public for each department as time warrants. So as long as we keep within those time frames, I'm wanting to make sure this is an open process and everyone can get their questions answered, but just be cognizant of others who I'm sure have several questions along the way. And with that, let's start with the Public Services Department.
We bring up John Tomas from Public Services, and I'd ask Jason Silva maybe to come up as well, because I think he has helped prepare a lot of this, the budget thinking and the budget process. Just want to say a few just opening remarks regarding the budget for FY17 and some of the themes that we're hoping you noticed if you've already checked through your budget. For this year, we're really focusing on trying to address some of the aging infrastructure that we know is, alive and well in Salem when you have a city that's almost 400 years old. Roads, sidewalks, water, sewer, utilities, drainage issues, and even buildings really do need additional care and attention. During our budget retreat, I think we touched upon this, just sharing with you the litany of ways that people can reach out to us, which is great. Tools like See, Click, Fix, just the way technology is advanced, people can get to you in real time. And we know that in order to keep up with the expectations that people have, we need to put more resources within our public services budget. We're trying to do that in a smart way. You'll see a combination of both capital and operational increases, and we're happy to obviously go through all those in more detail. Another area that we thought really needed some additional attention had to do with public safety. As we're an active city, there's definitely areas when particular times of the year, particular areas within our community that need additional attention from a public services, from public safety and community policing perspective. We're working hard to keep pace with a workforce that's retiring, to make sure that as public safety officials retire, that we have somebody ready and trained to replace them, not run into issues with respect to, it takes about a year, as many of you know, to bring a new public safety officer on board and have them ready to go, and we're trying to avoid those delays that happen when somebody retires. In addition, with the Traffic and Parking Commission, really looking at traffic calming and ways that we can be more aggressive and improving the quality of life in neighborhoods by looking at traffic management. And lastly, with the opiate scourge that's impacting Salem and a number of communities, we really felt like hand in hand, the police and law enforcement aspect also needed a social service and a peer counselor support program. So our PD has been working to try and address overdose deaths and overdose occurrences with the families who are impacted, but we know we need sort of more hands on deck in that area, and you'll see a proposal within the Public Safety Office that tries to address that. And lastly, it's just continuing our commitment to schools. It's the largest part of our budget. I think it's a big profile for our community. We're, I think, in a really good position in terms of the leadership, the skill sets that we're working on, the accelerated improvement plan coming together, but it does take resources. This year, we're proposing a 3.6, almost 3.8% budget for the schools, and we think it's important to maintain things like expanded learning time, the opportunity to bring together teacher and coaches at the high school, some additional academic supports as requested by the school superintendent. So I guess just the last piece is I've always appreciated, at least in my 10 years, through multi-million-dollar deficits, first coming into office, to hopefully being in a position that we have a higher bond rating, we receive GFOA recognition for the quality and quantity of the material we provide in our budgets, always looking to improve in that area, but I've always appreciated the partnership we've had with the council, where I think we want to be as efficient as we can, also recognizing this has an impact on taxpayers, but want to deliver services. And I think that only works if the city council and the administration are collaborating on that. And I've appreciated the strong collaboration we've had in the past, and looking forward to it again this season. So thank you. And with that, we've got the first department head on the hot seat is our Public Services Director, John Tomaz. You know, we've been working really hard looking at our city stat program to fine-tune what's happening in public services, and really appreciate the work that John has done to bring together our data tools with our resource tools, and you'll see that play out a little bit more in this budget.
Page 19 for those, or section 19 for those tracking.
John, do you have any opening remarks at all regarding the department, where you are, where you see us going?
Well, I think the mayor pretty well captured a lot of the issues we're facing here. I mean, one thing, I guess, you know, good or bad, one of the things we've seen with C-Click-Fix and some of the other methods we've used to collect data is that we have about 2,000 things that have come in over the past, you know, roughly 2 years. It's kind of given us a nice picture about what our needs are, and also what we can do, but just as much what we can't do. So I think that's what this budget reflects, is that we've kind of recognized that, you know, we can't continue to respond the way we'd like to with the resources we have, which is why you see some of the increases you see in just the contractors and vendors, but also in personnel also.
Just want to give a quick, maybe you or Jason, a quick summary on what those, I thought I saw a nice, concise kind of overview of what you're looking at for additional personnel.
Okay.
Sure. So the budget you have in front of you has a few, I'd say, noticeable increases and differences that I'll quickly go through and highlight. The first thing is it does add 2 full-time employees to the pool. 1 employee for the streets division, 1 for the parks division. It also gives one of the general foremen, Tom Lachey, it proposes an increase in a slight title change to better reflect the job that he's doing. In addition, in the salaries, we've increased seasonal labor by $25,000 to allow us to better handle demand during the peak seasons. So rather than bringing, it's just a better way to, a more efficient way to use our resources. So $25,000 will allow us to create a crew during the busy times, July, August, September, October, really focused on cleaning, cleanliness, litter, etc. in the downtown area, but also in our parks and playgrounds and open spaces that some of the better utilized areas. We've also increased contracted services, about $75,000 for mowing. So right now we contract a lot of our mowing needs. $75,000 will allow us to contract all of our mowing needs. So all parks, all open space, and all cemeteries as well. So we're trying to, I guess, remove that from the plate and allow us to focus on more proactive preventative maintenance and repairs out at our parks, playgrounds, and cemeteries. And let's see, and the last thing I guess is the major changes, sidewalks. We've added $10,000 in the sidewalk line. That's mostly for materials to allow for increased repairs in-house, but we're also utilizing CIP capital money to contract out a lot of those repairs as well. So we've tried to take, as the mayor said, we've tried to take a hybrid approach to best address the needs. So through additional staffing, seasonal labor, contracts, operational money, capital money, we're trying to use several different approaches to best serve that gap in need that we see right now.
Just want to, oh, sorry, I was going to say, build one thing off that is, and John's too modest to say it, we have thrown more and more and more work and tasks at public services. As part of the new trash contract, we are now emptying barrels in-house. Every time there's a great new public initiative, let's have tables and chairs someplace. Every time you get a midnight email from the mayor, it normally means work for public services. And I think we've been balancing it, but we really recognize the expectations that people have and the expectations we have for ourselves in terms of trying to deliver services in a more proactive way just cannot be met with the current array of resources, not with See, Click, Fix, and all the different ways that people have to communicate with us to get to those tasks. We needed more resources, and this hybrid approach, based on what we know in terms of what we're not getting to, seemed like the best way to free up our own personnel, have some promotions in-house for people who are really working hard and reflect their positions, and then trying to get better at hitting expectations that we have for ourselves in terms of being more proactive and less reactive within the department.
The one thing I'd like to add is that when I came about 3 years ago, I met with all the employees, and I said, you know something, if we aren't doing things as well and cheaper than a contractor, maybe we shouldn't be doing them. And during the past few years, we've tried contractors when staff have left, so we've found out that some work well, some don't here. So after, again, 3+ years, we've kind of learned, I think, what our strengths can be and what we should be doing, and also what maybe we should be contracting out, which I think this budget does reflect. Kind of work on our strengths and also work on the strengths from the contractors we've been working with over the past few years.
So let me hit it off, but first by saying that I really appreciate the approach you guys have taken this year in redoubling the commitment to public services, because let's face it, when there's austere times, this seems to be the first place that cuts take place, unfortunately. And I think that some of our streets, and to no fault of the overworked people of the department, some of our streets reflect that we've been hit kind of hard. And so I really want to thank the Mayor Driscoll and your administration for seeing this and starting to address it. One question that I had is actually on page, it's 824, I'm sorry, 8224, under the expenses report, you have the contracted services listed out, and John, you had requested just over $216,000 under contracted services, and then there's an additional $45,000 line item that's not identified. I'm presuming that's miscellaneous?
Mowing.
That's the mowing.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. The 30 plus the 40 is the 75 we're going to dedicate to the additional mowing.
To give you an idea, we have roughly 65 to 70 spaces that we have to maintain, which right now we contract about half of those out. Mostly they have the biggest spaces, but again, the small ones can sometimes take just as much time because you have to go there, mow, get load back up and you can go someplace else. So we're looking to, again, kind of siphon off some of those also to greenscape for next year.
And then My next question, and I'm sorry that actually Mr. Silva's here for this, but my question is, do we need Mr. Silva's position? Because I know that Mr. Silva is going on to another job very shortly. Do we need Mr. Silva's position? And the reason why I ask that is that could be one to two additional jobs within the Department of Public Services.
Well, that is a loaded question.
Yes, it
Even
is.
if he's sitting here, he has been a great advocate for us, and it's been a pleasure working with him, so I would say yes.
Jason has been a tremendous asset to me personally and professionally with Ward 4 requests, so I want to thank him for that, but he would be very difficult to replace, is I guess my point.
Yeah.
And so just being cognizant of that.
Okay.
Is there... Do we have room, do we have other funds available basically to put in additional staff members for the Department of Public Services in addition to the two that you're suggesting?
We are right now only proposing the additional 2, and I would not want to swap out this position. I can't tell you the number of times, and Jason can speak to this while he is here, that we have projects that overlap between Park and Rec, Public Works, and Engineering that need that kind of glue to help coordinate them. There are times when it's just a lot easier to give John an opportunity to actually run the department, to have somebody else helping think about, okay, what's the analysis look like when it comes down to mowing and how much time and what are some of those areas. So I agree, he's going to be hard to replace. I'm contemplating chaining him to the desk, but that probably won't work. But I do think the position in terms of the objectives of trying to get our departments to work efficiently, to work collaboratively, and also always looking to continuously improve. We're shaving sidewalks. We didn't do that 3 years ago. That came about as of some of the efforts that John has made. But there are other ways for us to, I think, become more efficient, always look to continuously improve, use our data for our benefit.
Yep.
And I think having an additional set of eyes is really, really critical to help get that work done.
I felt like I needed to ask the question.
I appreciate it very much.
And then going back to page 8-219, under Public Services General Expenses, tree planting, $5,000. As you know, I've really made it this year a priority for myself and hopefully the council, and the council's definitely supported me on this, with the Lorax task force. And having heard through the earlier Public Health, Public Safety, and Environment Committee meeting where we had Ron Malionik and we had John, and we had Rick Rennard as well, our tree warden, we outlined that there's $5,000 designated for tree replacement. Last year, according to your department, John, this past year, 220 trees have been cut down across the city because they needed to be, because of safety concerns. And we've replaced them, including CDBG trees, including National Grid trees for replacements, plus these city trees for the $5,000. That's amounted to a total of 80. Approximately. So there's a net deficit just this year of 140 trees, and that's not sustainable for the city. We have to do more than, frankly, that replacement. I realize that $5,000 is $5,000, but my question is, why, realizing that there is that need, why are we not increasing that, at least incrementally?
I will say, from the perspective, the Lorax committee kind of got set up after this budget was, I would say closer to being baked. We're hoping to see what comes out of that committee from a long-term perspective, or maybe even from a short-term perspective. What are some of the improvement areas? There's tree planting, there's tree pruning, there's the tree master plan. Like, there are definitely needs that have been identified, and my understanding was that the task force was going to try and marinate through that and come up with an action plan. And once we get that action plan, we can come in and think about what that funding is, and maybe for next fiscal year, you'll see it as a free cash or CIP appropriation, but going forward, we could figure out what kind of budget we want to have.
Or perhaps if there's some interim findings in the fall, there could be a request for additional funds?
That's what I'm saying, yeah, free cash or a CIP request,
Awesome.
But I didn't want to presuppose what the group was going to come up with, so, for sure.
Councilor Miley.
If I can just piggyback
Absolutely.
on that, I actually sent an email over to Len Duncan after that task force meeting. I think it was a task force meeting about the greening the gateways, the Gateway City.
Yep.
And she said that she was going to look into that, that they're rolling out the funds incrementally, so I'm pretty sure that eventually will be a source of funds. I'm not sure.
There's 2 grants that we have our eye on. One's a DCR Tree Master Plan grant, and that one as well, the Gateway Cities. Yeah.
Maybe we can get our state senator's office chief on it.
Absolutely.
I just wanted to.
That's it for me for questions. Councilor Milo, you were recognized. Do you want to continue with questions from there, or?
I have questions, but I...
Go for it.
All right, well, again, just piggybacking on the discussion about staffing. I had sent, one of the questions that I had sent it over to Sarah this afternoon, and I was hoping that you guys would touch on it, is apparently there's some money, or there's gonna be some money appropriated for some kind of a phased-in department assessment around, I don't know if it's just a fleet assessment type thing, where you're gonna kind of look at the fleet, identify maybe a maintenance plan, a replacement plan, and I
We
don't
have
know
a
what
scope of
else.
services for, it's primarily the fleet, it's the fleet maintenance
It's not
proposal.
staffing.
It's not, well, I guess with respect to the fleet, I think
Okay,
they'll look at, what's the best way to manage vehicles, maintenance of vehicles, going forward, ordering of parts, things like that. It was a pretty good proposal. We've got some money that we're thinking of phasing it in, starting it this fiscal year, and hopefully overlapping into next fiscal year to give us a better understanding of, are we running our fleet maintenance in the most efficient manner we can? So looking forward to that work starting. So it's not in the budget because it should be funded, we should be able to pick up the large bulk of it, at least within this fiscal year.
Because if you look at that line item, you can tell it's like, okay, budgeted 17,000, adjusted 56,000, or, you know what I mean? You can tell it's kind of like,
Yeah, it's definitely
kind of,
been a source of questions for us. We're investing in our fleet, yet our maintenance costs continue to grow. But if you know Steve Tassinari, he's one of the best in the business. He's really solid at, wringing out as much work as possible. So we're looking forward to really having this review better help us. Are there software programs even that could really help with some of the maintenance and parts and things like that?
even like just, subbing out inspection stickers.
Yeah, exactly.
That kind of stuff.
We already do that, but yeah.
Well, I mean, like having somebody come in and go through the whole, that's
Sometimes they
like
do that.
not
We do
a-
that for the large vehicles.
Yeah.
Someone does come in.
Do we have a deferred maintenance plan citywide or department-wide or anything?
I mean, I think right now, mostly, this is where those software programs are helpful. Steve is the one who primarily does a pretty good job of keeping track of when vehicles need to come in for, regular maintenance, and then has a pretty good reporting program out with the frontline vehicles in public safety in the police department, so that they're reporting in if there are issues and concerns. And then we're trying to turn it over. We're buying 3 to 6 cars at least for, when you think about the police department a year, and, investing in school buses, COA vans, things like that, on a regular basis, as you can see it playing out in the CIP.
What makes it hard for us, an example just happened this past week, is that we have 2 of our dump trucks, the smaller ones, the 550s, and on the beds, the pistons went through both beds. So all of a sudden, you didn't see it, and all of a sudden, you're looking at this, and it's like a probably $8,000 to $10,000 expense that just, we weren't expecting it, it happened. It has nothing to do with us not maintaining it, it's just, they're old, the metal has worn down, and that's it. So these are things that seem to happen, every 3 to 5 months on us. So it's almost hard to plan for at times, unless you have every 3 or 4 years, you're rotating the trucks, the cars and such, so.
One of my other questions is around plowing. There was a note about assigning contractors. Do we assign the same contractors to the same streets all the time?
Yes.
Okay, so if somebody calls and says a contractor, whatever, we know who that
I
contractor
can tell you,
is.
not only the contractor, but our guy who should be out there.
Perfect.
So,
And we are tracking that on GPS now. We have live tracking of GPS of anyone who has any snowplow contractors for us.
they all got phones this year, so we know exactly where they were at any minute, how fast they were going, if they'd stopped. It was great.
That's new. That's a new program that we instituted.
Our own guys too, so.
And then, one other thing, can we get an updated narrative for that? On this narrative for the significant budget and staff changes, it says no significant budget or staffing, and
Yes, I know that.
sounds like there are. So if we can just get that updated, so we'll have it for our records?
After the council approves this, just so you know, we spend a lot of time before it actually goes into the GFOA submittal, making if there's a typo or a correction or something we missed, we'll spend the time to make, on the narrative, the numbers obviously are the numbers, but anything that is in the description that is, nothing substantive, but changes like that you just mentioned, this needs to be updated, we'll make sure it gets done.
Before I call on anybody else, I just want to remind everyone that any relevant questions concerning capital improvement projects or any questions regarding any relevant revolving funds should be asked now for whatever department we're dealing with. So for right now, since we're dealing with the Public Services Department, any DPW related CIP or revolving account, this is the perfect time to ask that question. Councilor Gerard.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, through you. First of all, I want to say that you guys do an incredible job. And
Thank you.
In fact, a couple of weeks ago when I was standing in Anne Marie's office and watching her fielding the calls of all these people that think DPS does everything under the sun, and she's constantly being that traffic controller there. Yeah, literally, it's crazy what people think that DPS does that DPS actually doesn't do, and it's so much that falls on your shoulders. So thank you so much for everything that you've been able to do. Just one quick question. Under professional services, on page 224, that object code 5304, Bob's Tire Company, tire removal, is that removing tires on the streets? Or what is that?
Well, we have our own ties we have to get rid of, and believe it or not, we find a lot of ties that people just find in front of their properties. So
okay.
those are the ones we just have to pay to get rid of.
Okay. And then further down under the contracted services, so how many trees would, for the Chicoria tree service, the tree removal, how many trees would $25,000?
Depends on the size, right?
Depends on the size, but usually we bring them in, it's like 4,000 a day, and they can do anywhere from 6 to 8 trees a day. So, talking, probably 40 trees.
40 trees?
Roughly 40 trees, yeah. But again, there's taking the trees down, there's stumps, so there's
Yeah.
a couple things
And those
tied
are
into the trees.
Outside of CDBG trees, because there's
Yes,
something
yes.
special that's another unique line that's
Right, separate.
specifically for CDBGs. Okay. Great. I think that was all that I had a question about. I mean, my conversations with Sarah that we were talking about what was why certain things were bolded. I don't know if you wanted to explain why some of the contracted services were bolded versus other ones like the Chicoria, the Greenscapes, the Highway, the MBTA.
Well, those of ours kind of been there. What I've tried to do is I keep a fairly detailed history of all the vendors and what we've actually spent over the past 4 years with them. So what I try to do this year is reflect, what we based upon our history, what we were actually spending, what I expected to spend this coming fiscal year. I mean, for the most part, there's a couple new ones. Well, actually, most of them have been there. It's just, again, I've tried to reflect more what I think their costs will be next year.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And then just one more question. Where was my question? So the seasonal labor, where is that going to come from? The SJ services, or is that going to come from? Where's the seasonal labor?
Seasonal labor, they'll be our own hires.
Oh, okay,
Seasonal
great.
help, yeah.
Great. Thank you.
Again, it's one thing I just want to highlight too is that, as you know, we have an older workforce who have been here for a long time, and I just ran the numbers today, and the average vacation time is 3.5 weeks for all of my employees. So again, a lot of them like to take their vacation during the summer months, which of course is when there's a lot of work we're trying to get done. So this is where, again, the seasonal help really helps us to stay on top of things. Because I put them, everything from signs to line painting to parks, cemeteries, so they're every place helping us out.
Before I go to President Turiel, do either one of the other two, were you finished?
I am finished.
Okay. Do either one of the, Councilor Dibble?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. And through you, I got about 4 or 5 questions real fast, and they're pretty easy to answer. But one, I'd like a personal privilege if you can get the contractor over to Councilor O'Keefe's house. The contractor who plowed the street and missed it. Last year I called him, you got out there right away and plowed it with your crews. And then the very next storm, we missed his house again. So my heart goes out to Mrs. O'Keefe. Let's get that street plowed right away, the first storm, by the contractor. He drives right by the street, the little dead end section.
Yeah,
and
I know exactly where he lives, yeah.
So that's one point. The rest is all good.
Can I just go back just on that point right there? I realize I'm kind of talking history, but what we try to do is, again, we log in all the complaints we get to try to make sure we address those and that it doesn't become an ongoing thing. So we do make an effort to hopefully only screw up once, at the most twice, and any.
Your crews were great. Mr. Sands, George Sands got up there, and it was
good.
just coordinated perfectly within like 10 minutes.
Good.
So the response time was great. I have to give credit to this department because I'm brand new. I've been on the job for 5 months now. But your response time is like record-breaking. I came to you with a request for a sign, boom, it was up right away. I came to you with a request for something else was done. Came to you for a request for another sign, and it was up like 2 days later, 3 days later. I'm just wondering if that is just because I'm brand new, or is that your... No,
Yes.
the whole department is wonderful to work with.
I will tell you is that this is one example where 3 years ago we contracted out signs. It was a horror show. It did not work out at all. And we started doing it internally. I got a good guy, and that's why it's getting done. Again, I'm finding the things we do well. I'm trying to focus on those. Things we don't do well, we're contracting out. Sweeping too, this year. I thought sweeping went much better. It wasn't perfect, but went much better doing it internally. Versus last year, we struggled to get it done. We again, did it internally. We stretched out. We were a little better organized. So again, we've learned the things we do well. We're kind of pushing away some of the stuff that maybe we can feel confident to contract out.
The proactive approach that your sign guy, for example, takes on his own to some degree. If he's putting up a sign, he looks at the other signs right there, and while he's there, he'll replace the ones that are really bad shape automatically without being requested. So the city's looking good on signage-wise.
Good.
And he does that, he takes great pride in his work. I'd like to see that same thing. I think our tree, and the Lorax chairperson might back me up on this, the tree department, I question if it's big enough, the labor staff, because there's a lot of work out there. So the same way that your sign guy is proactive, I'd like to see the tree department come in, and if they're taking down a tree or pruning a tree, and there's one right across the street or next door, that they just jump next door and do that without being asked, or it's just more proactive.
I mean, it's definitely a culture for an organization to try and create that, and that's what we aim for, but it's still a little bit of a struggle at times. You'll there's a pothole that's out, there's a pothole on the way, do you hit that one too? And it's something that, it's a learned response, and it's certainly something we're trying to, I think as a culture, as an organization, build and strengthen, but we're definitely not 100% there yet. You also have to empower employees then to feel comfortable making those sorts of decisions and not feeling like they're going to be in trouble because they did something that wasn't on the list. And then, that flexibility only goes so far too, in terms of we're trying to be accountable with the work and the list and what needs to get done. But
It's not
it's
criticism.
definitely a goal.
The department is doing a great job, and I've worked closely with the department for 3 decades. I've never seen it so smooth, so fast.
Well, thank you.
From what I've seen, I can't speak to every component of it, but
Now,
good.
another thing I want to bring up is that, since I have different councils here, is that, for example, you talk about the trees, well, sidewalks are the same thing. I could do a sidewalk on your location, it's a high priority sidewalk. I guarantee I'll have 3 or 4 neighbors coming out who want their sidewalk too, because we're out there. But I have other councilors who I'm trying to make happy also. So there's a point where I just got to say, I got to draw the line. I can only do this sidewalk and that one, and even though I know you're upset, I've got to move on to other areas. So there's that fine line between trying to, again, respond to all these issues out there versus trying to make everybody happy throughout the city too.
with the mayor's encouragement, Mr. Chair, you've got the floor. With the mayor's encouragement, she's asked me to walk the ward. She asked all the councils to walk your wards and to find things that are good and bad with the neighborhood, trees and sidewalks and whatever else, graffiti, on and on. We haven't found any graffiti, I'm glad to report. But with trees, I have to compliment the Lorax chairperson here. The number of trees that are listed in this budget, it's not going to be enough. This is not even enough for a third of Ward 7 of what I'm going to be submitting to you. I've got about 300 locations for work that's needed that will be soon entered into See-Click Fix. And the lion's share, there's probably half of those are just sidewalk cutting, lifted sidewalks, which those are easy for you guys, I think. And then the rest is probably 50, 60, 70 trees that are needed so far. I've only walked a quarter of the ward. So we're getting great response from all the neighbors on this walk, and now I'm going to be putting all these requests in for sidewalk repairs, and again, some new sidewalks, but mostly cutting the lift sidewalks, some tree work and some new trees. But I question whether you're going to be able to handle all these requests when neighbors are thinking they might be getting a tree, but there's no money here.
Yeah, that's
I mean, I think we are waiting to see what comes out of this Lorax committee in terms of priorities. There's tree planting, there's tree pruning, there's the tree master plan. All of those are funding sources. You mentioned, the great byproduct of doing tree work is also that we've got to shave roots, we've got to replace the masonry aspect of it as well. So, the needs are long, and we're trying to prioritize. And since this task force is working on it, we'll wait to hear what some of the action steps come out of that.
Again, I'll just give you a heads up, there's a long list coming to you real soon, a big list.
Well, I mean, I try to be aggressive, not just what you see here, but my best friend back there, I borrow money from him for sidewalks. This person beside me here, CDBG money, you know, I try to, I kind of go to all sorts of different sources trying to find money to do a lot of this work too, so. But it is a challenge at times.
Two last issues, if I may, Mr. Chair. Jason, you touched upon the mowing. Can you just explain the difference between the three different line items of 30,000, 125,000, and 45,000 on mowing? What's the difference between the three? Why isn't it just one line item?
125 is the existing contract. The 30 and 40 should have been combined, but the 45 was a late addition. So in your mind, combine the 30 and 45, that's 75,000, which will allow us to expand the existing contract. 125 is the existing contract we have now.
I like the idea that you're combining all the grass cutting, if you would, into one place. It's going to be a lot less money. I remember years ago, you guys will all laugh at this, but the recreation on several ball fields, the recreation department cut the infield and the park department cut the outfield. And that's true on several ball fields. Does that include the school department and all the miscellaneous? Are there other departments that are still cutting grass?
Doesn't include schools. No, we did have a conversation about that, because we're looking at, you know, our combined facility maintenance, and is there a way to strengthen that? We decided not to go into this direction right now, after discussing this with Paul LaRue, and focus a little bit more on, you know, how we might be able to work in stronger collaboration around facility maintenance. But I could see that growing, the building aspect of it, not the exterior.
I'd encourage you. I think you get a better price overall if they're doing the whole city, and we can just break out a portion for the schools, if you would.
And they've got even, some of their patches are even smaller, you know, their parking lot areas and things like that are those small scale.
My question, the library and other places that mow, other departments that are mowing grass, is this everybody but schools, or is there still loopholes?
You know what, I think libraries probably stuck with doing it. Yeah, I think they do their own. I think they do. It's essentially all the areas that DPW does now. But your point is very well taken, that there are other properties that are done in-house, especially the schools. And we had a lot of discussion over whether or not we'd be able to meet this budget for some of the facility discussion that's happening. We just weren't able to. But I think that's a conversation that's going to continue and probably complete soon, and you'll probably see something in front of you, I would anticipate shortly, with regard to school and city facility changes.
Mr. Chair, one more question, if I may. Could you describe, John, a little bit about you have a line item here for Socorro tree services. What does that include? Does it include the grinding of the stumps, the removal of the big roots, scooping out all the mulch-like material that's left over, and then top dressing it with some loam and seed when they're all done? Or what does it include?
There's different contractors who do different things. Jacora might be one that comes in and takes the trees down. Usually they take the trees down. We're bringing somebody else who will take out the stumps and grade it and toss grass seed down there. So there's two different contractors who do different things, but Jacora is pretty much just take the tree down and be done with it.
The one who grinds the stump, they're required to take away the mulch-like material?
They should, yes.
And add loam and seed?
Yes.
Okay.
We've had contractors that just ground and left the stuff there and we cleaned it up, but now we're trying to have the contractor do all of that, so that when we get out there, we have a clean site and that we're all done with it, so.
What is the mechanism for tracking that work is being done? Because I'll give an example. 5 trees 3 years ago were taken down.
Yeah.
Actually were painted to be taken down. 3 of the trees were taken down, and then 6 months later, the other 2 were taken down, and then now we have 5 stumps. The next year, 2 of those stumps were ground up, and then the next year, 1 more stump was ground up. Now, 2.5 years later, the other 2 stumps are still there. One of those stumps had the mulch taken away, and none of them had loam and seed put down.
No, that is one thing we weren't doing particularly well. And again, I think it's because there's too many players doing too many different things. But I think we're at a point now, I think we get that fairly well coordinated, because not only would you have to worry about just the trees themselves, but a lot of times the sidewalk damage there also. So we're trying to make sure we get it all at the same time. And I think we're heading down the right path now as far as, you know, marking the trees, taking them down, dealing with stumps, cleaning it up, and addressing any sort of sidewalk issues we have there. So again, we haven't been particularly good at that, but I think we're heading down the right road with that.
So will you welcome some old ones that are 2 and 3 years old that aren't quite fixed yet?
Would we,
welcome on the list. Some things, trees were taken down, the stump might have been ground, but the pile of mulch is still there.
no, let me know. As I said, those are things that, again, we're trying to clean up. That's why, I mean, we got money in the fall to go take care of some of these ones that, again, were just sitting out there for years. So, again, we are trying to clean up all those and kind of start from fresh.
Again, I think your department's doing a great job, and I thank you for your service.
Thank you.
You're on the money. When I call you for something, I get an answer. So Kim, keep him. Thank you, Mr.
Thank you,
Chair.
Councilor. Councilor Fury.
On 8 and 11, it mentions on the CIP program, which is a very good program, long range, very exciting, in the city of Salem, it mentions $50,000 for the HVA system for Salem High School, which is a great investment, great investment. Flat roof needs the help situation. Why, and this, I may ask Paul LaRue, if not the right time with you, why couldn't we go for the solar panel situation where we're investing in HVA system? Why can't we do on a flat roof like that? Ideal. Solar panels, when you were thinking about doing that?
We wish we could put solar panels on the high school roof. So I think folks here may know, we talked about it more at a school committee level, that we have a DOER grant and then some combined resources from Footprint to purchase a large quantity of solar array panels. And the first location was the high school because exactly what you mentioned, Counselor, it's nice and wide and flat and perfect. Unfortunately, when the engineers evaluated the load capacity of the roof, it cannot accommodate any additional load capacity to the quantities that we were talking about. So we've shifted now, and the panels are headed to the Bentley School and to Witchcraft Heights. We may be able to also sneak some on the police station. I think those are the 3 areas that we're focused on that will equal the number of arrays and panels, but obviously it's 3 separate installations.
Thank you.
That was our first choice.
Thank you.
One question.
I have ask a follow-up on that. He raised a good point, our council at large. I know the Public Works Department, 5 Jefferson Avenue, was originally designed to have 2 stories and built so that we can add a second story to that. Is that one building that you look for solar panels?
On the Public Works building? We didn't look at the Public Works building. I'm not sure we evaluated it. I mean, that building's got some engineering challenges at present.
The age of the roof has to be of a certain quality, the load that's existing there has to be of a certain quality. So we took roofs that were either soon to be replaced or most recently replaced, and that's what was evaluated by the engineers.
Bentley, they're actually putting on a new roof as part of the solar project, so which was sort of planned that they were going to need a new roof, so dovetailed nicely.
President Turiel.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Not being a member of the committee through you, my question isn't about any specific installations or jobs or anything like that. I'm thinking more in terms of the overall workforce. We've focused on this in budget meetings past. We know we've talked about there's an aging workforce in public works. We've had retirements. We've had people, and I'd like, if you could, just forecast out a little bit where we're going in that direction as far as do we have retirements looming? Do we have more people coming on? Because I know that affects the overall head count, that affects the overall personnel dollars, and and vacation time and temp. So there's a lot of implications from that. So
I'll give you a quick little summary of the Public Works Department. Is that there's 34 employees that are actually out there doing physical labor. Their average age is 51. They've been with the DPS for 14 years. And I got 12 over 55, and I have 3 under 35. So that kind of tells you that I have not only an older workforce, but as I've learned this year, when I have multiple people out with injuries, that they're more prone to that, and it's not as productive. So unfortunately, what we're trying to do is, again, bring in a younger workforce, but civil service kind of ties our hands with that, because again, I have to follow the list, and it doesn't quite allow the flexibility to essentially say, I'd like to bring in a young workforce. I have to bring in people that are qualified, that have the experience, that no matter what the age is. So I feel like I feel like I'm caught between the rock and the hard place, between trying to get a younger workforce and not really having the ability to do that.
So just to be clear, the labor services that we currently still subscribe to, we're very much in the minority. There are not many public works departments that still follow a labor services list, but normally that limits our flexibility when it comes to hiring, and generally the folks on that list are of an older age complement. And I certainly don't want us to sound like we don't value employees who've been here a long time. There are lots of benefits to that in terms of knowing the geography, really having the experience with some of the equipment and things like that. But there also are, challenges with respect to hips and knees, and it's a labor-intensive job, and so there are impacts there as well.
Okay, yeah, because that's where I would expect and hope that you have a mix of younger employees and older employees, because you do need that experience. You do need people who've been there, know the streets, know the sidewalks, and know the job to be done. But you also need, a mix of younger people in there as well. And it just certainly, like, long term, hopefully we can get that mix to be the appropriate level, and that has far-reaching effects on everything, including how many people we have in the department, salary levels, time out, and everything. So I don't know.
Well, we'd love more flexibility. That's a conversation to be continued.
I mean, a little quick thing on that, like I have 6 employees under the age of 45. So again, the majority are 45 and older, and like my mechanics, who to me are fairly skilled, great workforce, and their average age is almost 62. So over the next, few years, I'm gonna lose them all. So, and I know when we placed John Addison, I mean, we went through a lot of folks. We found a person who was, qualified for the job. So again, there's not a lot of them sitting out there either. So, and again, a lot of it has to do with just, what we pay some of the people that are more talented. So,
Just as a follow-up question, is there for AFSCME Local 1818? I presume that they have a laborer list.
It's actually not through AFSCME. AFSCME is the public employee. Everyone's in the union. We're certainly not. This is a civil service.
No, I know.
Yeah,
I know,
labor services.
but does AFSCME have a laborer list?
No, this doesn't run through the union at all.
Okay.
It's run through civil service, and so there's a labor service list that you have to bring employees off of.
But if
and there is no AFSCME list. AFSCME's.
If the city chose to not have civil service, I'm just asking the question. Because I'm thinking of other unions where we'll have like a carpenters union, for example.
Yeah, no, yeah, it doesn't work.
There's no, okay.
No. So it would provide the flexibility that you could hire, individuals that you thought met the talent and the skills. They'd become a member of AFSCME, but it's not like a bricklayers union or a carpenters union, or there are folks sitting on the bench. AFSCME has such a varied, pool of employees. They represent the employees, but don't have an apprentice training program or anything like that. No.
Counselor from.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Not being a member of the committee, I apologize in advance for my slew of questions. It's appropriate we're sitting next to each other. First off, I'd like to say thank you for tracking the information. I recently met with 4 different areas of my ward, and being able to explain to them the work you're doing across the city with the numbers of the requests that go beyond the everyday scope was very beneficial. I've been hearing from residents that they didn't think they were people that were behind statistics, but actually hearing what you're doing, it gave them an understanding of what's happening in their neighborhood, in the ward, and the city as a whole. So we actually broke it down to their area, the ward, and then the city, so they could see what kind of work's being done where. So that definitely helped.
That data also helps us in terms of, management resources and better understanding. We always said when you start something like that, there's always people who are concerned about why you're doing it. It's like, this is not to show anybody up. It's actually to show all the work that you are doing on a day in and day out basis.
And that's exactly it. And so thank you for providing that. With that, going into just my first question, you have a subject line with educational training. I know that's broken down to a couple things, but what can you talk about internally? How are you working with the staff, or whether it's C-Click-Fix, getting the different subcategories behind that? And I noticed your spreadsheet, when I looked at it, it's a little different from the tree department, and trying to align that. I know that's part of the training, but where are we going with that?
Well, for training, like example, I have to have certain credits to maintain my license. Most of the guys now, if you have a water license, the distribution license, hydraulics license, I mean, you usually have to take attend some sort of course, get some sort of training to maintain those. That's what that would go to, and they're not cheap either.
But internally, what are we doing to train other people? So those that are done in the cemetery department, that all of a sudden it's not just you that's having Donna go through and yourself going through with C-Click-Fix for tree requests, that they're internally doing that, and how are we working to do the training for that?
We've trained other admin staff, I think it's fair to say, but we have not made the transition where, like, our crews have a tablet in their truck and they're able to check things off as they're getting to it. I don't know that I would say that's been our top priority right now. I mean, we've had a tough enough time managing this tool. It's a beast when you see all the requests coming in and trying to track it. Our goal would be to maximize our use of it. We are looking at, are there other work order systems that play well with it? C-Click Fix has a work order system. It's a little clunky, and are there better ways to do that? But I think we're still, are we 2 years into this now? I'm trying to think, 2 years into C-Click Fix. So, you know, we're still getting our arms around how best to use and train this tool. We were only having one big, you know, kind of clearinghouse for it. We've now kind of brought in that. There are other opportunities as a community. We'd want to apply for a 311 approach. You know, some communities are moving to anybody can pick up the phone and dial 311. It automatically goes into a call center where you log in whatever your request is. We've toyed with that idea. We've had discussions about it. So we're going to have to really kind of decide, do we want to make this a crew tool and that our employees are using? Do we want to make it more of a customer service tool? But right now, we still struggle to like own it. I'm sure you guys can track some of your own requests that might be put in through that. Right. It's, you know, it's a lot to take on.
And with that, can we align our tree service and cemetery spreadsheets with your own?
Yes, we do now.
Awesome.
And just a couple is that, like Kelly Ryan at the cemetery and Donna down my office and Anne Marie, they've all actually been kind of really aggressive over the past couple of months, trying to all get familiar with the different systems out there. I know they've worked on how to update our own Salem website page, you know, how to work C-Click Fix so they're all on the same page. I know they work with Dominic to try to, again, as far as everything that comes in, get that all organized and together. So no, they've been fairly aggressive in trying to
That's great.
all work together.
I've passed it on to residents, and those that understand Excel and all the tools, they're very appreciative of that. The second thing for SJ Services, I know right now it's the downtown. What are we looking at right now for what is the downtown, and how are we going into the scope of work, the location, and more importantly, the time of the day? So, for example, leaf blowing's not happening at high noon when people are trying to eat outside.
Or 6 a.m. or 9 p.m. It's tough to figure out the time that works. I mean, some of SJ services are maintenance in this building. Mm-hmm. They're definitely helping us in terms of
So that's considered in the downtown contracted services for SJ?
No, I'm just saying they're doing some facility maintenance, that's it. And they've sort of been a utility player, but you've dealt with them more than I have.
Yeah, I mean, SJ, we pretty much, again, when we first brought them on board, they were down here, I think, 4 or 5 days a week. We realized it just wasn't worth the money, so we cut them back to a couple days a week. And again, as you know, we've had some problems as their timing was not good on some circumstances. But for the most part, when there is an issue, I get on them, and Dave Shea is very good about, getting the guys in line and making sure they do what they should do, whether it be outside or also inside the buildings also.
Okay. Third up, and I only have 5, so I'm almost halfway through. Third up, on the objectives and goals, we have continued to support recycling program, including butt recycling.
My favorite.
I know it's your favorite. So, of course, I live surrounding these, and I know we're switching over to a new tool with engineering, and you're working with them. How are we moving forward with the recycling? And I'll start out with saying I am not too pleased with the recycling at all.
We've had, well, I'll start with the butt recycles. I just met with the committee last week, and they actually have a member who's more than happy to go out and collect the butts and send them in. I mean, we'll collect them, but they will mail them in. I mean, a problem I've had over the past couple of months, just finding someone to go out there and do it, because I did it myself a couple times. It's literally a few hours to be out there doing it. It's the grossest thing you've ever seen. But anyways, so I think plus we have another 50 more we're putting up throughout the city. Right. And so we've had problems with people taking them down, whatever reason, people moving them where they shouldn't have been moved, and also we're adding some new ones. So we're kind of taking the next step in this program where I've committed to have someone going out there and empty them on a continual basis. Now they've got a kind of a feel of which ones have to be done weekly, monthly, whatever the case may be. So I think we'll be all set as far as that goes. Plus with my summer help, and that makes that a lot easier. As far as the recycling goes, I mean, we've had a problem in the downtown again when we got rid of North Side, which again, I don't have an issue with that at all. We took over recycling in the trash, and we went from collecting about probably 80 to 90 barrels to 280 barrels. And quite frankly, we just weren't quite, it was almost too much for us. So when we started doing it, we found out that the trash really wasn't a problem, but we finding a lot of trash in the recycling, which kind of overwhelmed us at first. So quite frankly, for the past couple of months, we haven't really been recycling any of that at all. What also kind of hurt us a little bit too is that, we had expected to get our trash packer in and kind of use that as, essentially morning trash, afternoon recycling. But again, that took a long time to get here too. So finally, I have the people, I have the trash packer, which we've got, actually that's working out very well too. We've gotten a nice routine down with that, so we know, again, how long it takes to run the routes. And again, I got another dump truck. So essentially I need 3 trucks to go out and do trash effectively every day. And I'm just about there right now with having the people and the trucks to essentially go back to hopefully recycling and doing the trash on a daily basis.
So I would like a guarantee that going forward, we actually recycle the recycling. We had a big push this past year with the toters. We all know the switchover for the lovely toters, but just in the downtown, and I'll bring it up to Parks and Rec when they come up. I'd like more recycling canisters around basketball courts and the like, but right now we're promoting recycling through the city, but we need it done within the city.
I promise you we recycle, but keep in mind is that we have to be, what I don't want to get into is that, if there's a lot of contamination in our recycling, I just don't have the time to have my guys sorting through things, so.
Wouldn't expect it.
What's that? No, I just want to make sure, so I will promise you we will recycle, but just please trust me, there may be a limit to just how far we can do it too.
Perfect, thanks. So fourth, there's an item for police details for street sweeping. Do we have a breakdown at all of how many cars are actually towed during that street sweeping to make sure that we're
Get it, yeah, we can get it. I don't think we have it right now, but we can get you that list. I know we were more aggressive this year with both the signage, the notification system, and ticketing and towing, and it showed because we were able to get to the curb more effectively. And I hate towing cars, but
I'd love some better signage that doesn't look like someone's losing their cat.
Okay.
And then fifth and finally, it's in more the engineering, but there's something work with engineering to identify the downtown crosswalks with ADA. I'm assuming that's part of the Walk Boston audit as well that we did?
Yeah.
Fantastic. I'm done. Thank you.
Councilor Wilson.
Just one question. It's a general question. We had the budget retreat, and there was I think we had difficult for you to get consensus from this council, but I think you had 100% approval of perhaps bonding for some money for streets. I know Dave Knowlton's here, maybe that's the proper time to address it, but where are we on that? Because I came out of the meeting, I was pretty excited about the fact, because to telling people what's going on with the streets, and I know we have a lot of streets that are being done by outside vendors, but has there been any progress on?
Yeah, so section 7 of your budget, which is the capital plan, I hope everyone got this separate capital booklet as well, a little easier to look at. There's $850,000 identified from chapter 90, which we're hoping to get a little bit more, but there's an additional $1 million that we've put in for roads and sidewalk improvements. That is a significant increase from the $150,000 that we typically fund. So beyond the over $1.8 million that we're going to be funding in roads and sidewalks, there's also quite a few isolated projects as well. Upgrades to Winter and Northeast, sidewalk improvements in South Salem. So you can see in chapter 7 that we have, or chapter 7, section 7, that there's quite a bit of money being put forth for bonding or requested for bonding for roads.
And full disclosure, I'm trying to find another $1 million request of bonding because the paving money is just not going as far as you want it to. So I want to get a better handle on where we think the state's going to land, but I may be coming in with an amended request to up the bonding because we're sitting down reviewing paving, and $1 million just doesn't buy you.
Right.
And the rates are low, the interest rates are low, so we want to try and take advantage of some of that. But I'm astounded at, you won't be, when you see the same list, what it costs to get a street. If it's a wide street, you're into $300,000 before you sneeze, so.
Some of the main thoroughfares, I did see that. I know we've got that in the committee, and we're going to be discussing. I have some questions, and obviously I'll get some answers, I'm sure. But I guess I was hopeful that we were going to take a bigger stab at it. And I know you have the job of, you got a tough job, where can we get the money? But I thought that, if we get Chapter 9 from the state every year, we can nothing's ever guaranteed. Yep. But if we could borrow against that and then put some of that toward paying down the bond, I thought we were looking at a larger number. I can't predict a number, but I thought it was going to, not that $1 million, I appreciate that, but I think that was a sense that I got, that we were all willing to say, well, let's take a bigger bang. But I know you have the responsibility of making sure that things balance, but I know I'd be supportive of a larger number, and I know I've let Dave Knowlton know that, and I think at that particular meeting, that's the one thing I remember coming out of that was we're all gonna bite the bullet, so to speak, and
Yeah,
say, we
yeah.
need to do this to make our streets are in tough shape, and we have a lot of people coming here, and I think that speaks a lot to the city. And I agree with the tree thing as well, trees and sidewalks. I mean, you walk around and just so many years of neglect, that's tough. So I want to let you know that whatever number, and I know you have to make, the rates are low, the more that we can do with that, I think people will feel better about the city, especially the main thoroughfares. And you know, I've sat down with the city engineer early on and outlined how expensive it was and what that, I was really amazed or really pleased to see the planning, knowing
The master
what we need
plan's
to
great,
do.
isn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah, it really is.
So, you know, I don't know
Well,
if we...
stay tuned. So we've got the 1.8 million plugged in already, that's before
Right,
you.
right.
We've got National Grid's doing another $800,000 on their route. So then we've got Canal Street and state projects that are starting. And we really have identified another $1 million worth of improvements. And I'd like to just get a little bit better handle on what we think might be coming out of the state. But we actually just talked last week about filing an amendment with you to support another $1 million because it's just not going far enough to address, I mean, streets in the 40s, if you know the categories, 100 being in a state of good repair.
Right.
We've got a bunch of areas that are in 40s and they're all long, wide streets, so.
I think those are the ones that people notice the best. They travel down them. And I know I've spoken with Dave about the railroad tracks on Jefferson Avenue, getting them out. Now the right-of-way has been removed, so hopefully we can do that. I know there's going to be some attention paid to some of the roads, and we have some impact. But I look at it and say, well, if we could take whatever, and I'll leave this to Sarah, but the bonding, if we could take the money from the next year's coming and get a jump start on it now, I think the people, the citizenry would really feel good about it. That's what I hear about how tough the roads are. You hear it all the time as well.
It was in the top 3 of the resident survey, top 3 issues.
Yeah, I noticed that, yeah.
So it's not lost on us.
No, I know, but I just want to let you know that I would support whatever.
One of
whatever
8,
you felt
baby, all
that
right.
So you have one vote here.
All
Anyway.
right, perfect.
Here's a second vote. I'm going to second exactly what the good Ward 3 councilor had said. The minute that you want to bring in that extra $1 million bonding for streets, I know it will go quickly through this committee, at least I hope it would.
I appreciate that. I appreciate it. And we're trying to get there. I also just want to be mindful of, if you go through that CIP, there are definitely a lot of needs, and I don't want us to get too far over our skis with respect to costs. So just trying to manage it. But we're pretty committed to at least adding another $1 million to that number. And with all that's going on, we also want to be cognizant of the season for doing this is only so long, so we'll be doing a lot of paving in a lot of different areas. So if you added another $1 million in, we're going to be close to $4 million worth of paving. Managing that within 8 square miles is also a little bit of takes some
Just one other quick
choreography.
question. And I know this has been addressed, but I talked with Jason, and then Jason's talked with David about the painting situation of the crosswalks and signage. Has that been resolved?
I don't know the specific area you're talking about in particular.
It will.
Okay, all right, thank you. That's good enough for me.
President Turiel.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Not being member of committee through you, I'd concur with what my colleagues have just said, and from a bonding and and road repair standpoint, that is one of the biggest things that our residents notice. And as you said, that's high up on the list. I understand. Also, I know we're biting off a big chunk of bonding, debt issuance this year for the flood control project. I mean, that's what, $15 million, I believe, approximately, and. So I realize that there's a big hit to the city debt load going on right now with all that. I would hope that, at the very least, being supportive of another $1 million or so worth that we can manage in this paving season. That's literally almost the least we can, well, it's better than the least we could do, but it's at least taking a bit of a dent. I would hope, and this is more of a question for the next couple of budgets down the road, that as we go through this, we kind of start working the budgets with an idea as to hopefully manage as much of this backlog as possible, because that is something that we just keep on adding to year after year. And the maintenance some of the maintenance jobs we've done have been terrific, and we've benefited from a few of those in my ward and around the city, and I've seen the work. But at the same time, there's so many streets that we still haven't even gotten near, that the more of that we can chew off, the better.
You're here.
Any further questions for the Department of Public Services?
So just to be clear, there are several more budgets under public services. There's also snow and ice and public works, sewer, public works, water as well, there's other budgets.
And actually, I do have one question regarding snow, and it's more explanatory for the folks who are watching at home. Why is it that we're only budgeting, what was it, 50,000 or something like
We're
that?
very hopeful. No.
If you could explain that, as to why we budget so low for snow and ice.
Absolutely. So snow and ice budgets are sort of the baffling funding mechanism in the state of Massachusetts. Once you establish a snow and ice budget, you always have the option to increase it, but you never have the option to decrease it. So if we decided, you know what, we're going to accurately reflect what we think a New England winter is going to look like, and that might be $1 million, we can never reduce the budget after that. You can never make cuts to reduce the budget after that. So it might seem a little bit foolish to the average eye saying we think it's only going to cost us $400,000, knowing right well that a couple good snowstorms and that's going to be out the door. The other part of that is that it's one of the few budgets that you're allowed to have a deficit while it operates. So that's something where you'll see in this year's budget cycle, and I think everyone's familiar now after last year's snow beat down, we have $661,000 that we're going to be paying off this year and next year of our amortized debt. So does that provide a little background?
It certainly did.
Okay, good.
Seeing no further discussion, I will open it up to the public. Are there any members of the public who wish to ask any questions regarding the Department of Public Services? All right. Seeing none, I'll enter. If we can go. For those of you who are members of the committee, you have a cheat sheet for your votes. This will definitely help us go quickly, I think, through this. Councilor Gerard.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for approval of for the public services for the administration and support budget of $1,925,145.
It's been
For personnel expenses.
For personnel expenses, thank you.
Sure.
We have a motion for approval of the personnel expense. Do we have a second?
Second.
It's been moved by Councilor Gerard, seconded by Councilor Fury, that the amount of $1,925,145 for personnel expenses. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed, no. Carries 5-0. Councilor Gerard.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for approval of the public services, the general expenses, in the non-personnel expenses in the amount of $774,340.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved by Councilor Gerard, seconded by Councilor Fury, of $774,340 in non-personnel expenses for the administration and support subdepartment of the Department of Public Services. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Matter carries. Councilor Gerard.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for approval the Public Services Department total personnel and non-personnel expenses in the amount of $2,699,485.
Second?
Second.
Seconded. It's been moved by Councilor Gerard, seconded by Councilor Fury, for total personnel and non-personnel expenses for the administration and support personnel and non-personnel expenses in the amount of $2,699,485. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Matter carries. Councilor Gerard.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for approval of snow and ice personnel expenses in the amount of $50,000.
Second.
It's been moved by Councilor Gerard, seconded by Councilor Fury for $50,000 in personnel expenses. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Matter carries. Councilor Gerard.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for approval of snow and ice expenses, the non-personnel expenses in the amount of $408,935.
Second.
Second.
Seconded by Councilor Dibble. Moved by Councilor Gerard, seconded by Councilor Dibble. Non-personnel expenses in the amount of $408,935 under snow and ice. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Matter carries. Councilor Gerard.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for snow and ice total personnel and non-personnel expenses in the amount of $458,935.
Second.
Okay, moved by Councilor Gerard, seconded by Councilor Dibble. Total personnel and non-personnel expenses for snow and ice, $458,935. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Matter carries. And Sarah, we're going down to
27?
28 for water enterprise?
27?
27?
27 under sewer enterprise. Sewer enterprise first.
Yep.
Do I have a motion for approval of $344,882 just for personnel expenses?
What?
On-
Under public services?
Yep. 27?
Sure. Let's see, what did we say? What number?
I'll entertain a motion for approval of personnel expenses in the amount of $344,882. So moved by Councilor Gerard. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilor Fury. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Matter carries. Councilor Gerard.
Thank you, Mr. President. Move for approval of sewer public services expenses, non-personnel expenses in the amount of $191,678.
Been moved by Councilor Gerard and seconded by Councilor Fury. Non-personnel expenses for public services, sewer enterprise in the amount of $191,678. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Matter carries. Councilor Gerard.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for department total for the sewer enterprise public services in the amount of $536,560.
Second.
It's been moved by Councilor Gerard, seconded by Councilor Fury. Total personnel and non-personnel expenses of public services, sewer enterprise in the amount of $536,560. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Matter carries. And we have one more, number 28, under public services, water enterprise. Do I have a motion for approval of personnel expenses in the amount of $361,322?
Let's find it. Find it. Where is this?
Section 28?
Yeah, that's where I am.
Water enterprise.
What page?
8-342?
Are we doing sewer?
Beth, you're slipping. You're slipping.
Yeah, I am. And, what page?
8-342.
Okay. Okay.
Councilor Gerard.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for approval of the water enterprise under public services personnel expenses in the amount of, oh my God, where am I? There we go, $361,322.
Do I have a second?
Second.
It's been moved by Councilor Gerard, seconded by Councilor Fury. Personnel expenses under public services, water enterprise in the amount of $361,322. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Matter carries. Councilor Gerard.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for approval of the water enterprise and public services for the non-personnel expenses in the amount of $215,278.
Second.
It's been moved by Councilor Gerard, seconded by Councilor Fury of non-personnel expenses, public services, water enterprise in the amount of $215,278. All those in favor say aye. Those
Aye.
opposed, no. Matter carries. Councilor Gerard.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for approval of the water enterprise public services total personnel and non-personnel expenses in the amount of $576,600.
Second.
It's been moved by Councilor Gerard, seconded by Councilor Fury. Total personnel, non-personnel expenses for public services under water enterprise in the amount of $576,600. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Matter carries. Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
And our next department is the engineering department.
Nice job. Thank you, John.
Thank you.
Section 20 for those looking.
Yeah, you're not getting out of not coming up here. Are you kidding me?
Take my seat.
No, you're here too.
Right here. Thank you.
What section are we on?
What section? Section 20.
Oh, repair.
Section 20. Dude, here you are. With ya.
Hey, how are you? Mr. Knowlton, if you could identify yourself, please.
Yes, I'm David Knowlton, the city engineer.
Welcome.
Thank you.
20.
And Madam Mayor, Mr. Knowlton, Ms. Stanton, I'll leave it to you. How do
Yeah, I mean, I think this budget doesn't have, thanks for Jason, doesn't have as many changes in terms of the prior year. We've worked collaboratively amongst the staff to try and put together an engineering budget that reflects the work that's being done, and increases are reflective of where the project stands. So you'll see the capital budget around Canal Street being advanced additional dollars. You'll see some changes with respect to trash and recycling, just by the nature of the vendor changing, but the position with respect to the budget still exists. I do want to commend the staff in the department who have managed always to really work very hard on our trash and recycling programs and provide an array of communication to communities, to residents who live here about those programs, changes, innovations that are happening. I'm really grateful for that. And on the engineering front, I think you've heard me say this, we always want to have one project in the sort of pre-planning phase, one in design, and one in construction. We're always pushing to really maximize efforts at the state to leverage TIP dollars. A big part of that comes out of the engineering department with respect to getting those plans laid out early so we can then move through the process and fight, scratch, and crawl our way to seek state dollars. But many of those programs rely on the city doing the design work. And then add in things like paving. We just had a robust conversation about the need to do more. That also emanates out of the engineering department. So the staff there is routinely busy. Small things like a changeover on the billing cycle for water and sewer result in a lot of work for the staff here. So just an opportunity to say thank you for the work that they're doing, and also to recognize that although these are not the crews out on the ground, they're actually doing a lot of the work every day in the city with respect to many of these projects.
And just to add, everyone's welcome to also ask questions about the water sewer rates. Julie is here, so if you have questions about the rate increases, the projections, anything along those lines as well, in addition to the capital requests that fall under engineering, that also falls under as well, so.
I joke with Dave, he knows how to spend money.
We've had a very good year. We did get a lot of work done, and I, again, from what the mayor says, have a very talented staff, very motivated, very willing to engage residents, our customers, and get information to them. We did manage through the change in our waste hauler again, or another program again. I thought that was very successful. We've had some large projects that have been completed, most notably the Folly Hill storage tank rehabilitation project, which is not in Salem. It's out in Danvers, but it's a big water storage tank that needed to be updated so we can get another 50 years out of it or longer. We're currently almost done with the Gallows Hill water tank. That's being repainted on the inside and out.
Which, let me ask you this question as the Ward 4 councillor, the witch is coming back?
The witch is coming back.
Hey, that's great.
Witch is coming back.
Happy to hear that.
Yeah. We have.
I think it's going to be the witch from the police station patch. The witch that was up there, we're not really sure where that design came from.
But a larger witch,
Yeah,
right?
a larger witch and larger bold plate saying Salem. Yep, we are purists.
Which?
It's the toughest part of the job is getting that witch right. I know that. Doesn't matter about the paint and the longevity of the tank, but
It's actually a really neat project. This robot that is doing a lot of the work on the interior and the exterior to paint the tank. It's not, it's not being done manually. It's a pretty interesting technology to see it being applied. And I don't know if the robot will paint the witch or if they will do that by hand.
That'll have to be by hand. That'll be by
But
hand.
it's definitely been an interesting way to spend $1 million. Yep.
We've got some big projects starting on Canal Street.
Getting Sheriff back to do that?
The roadway project will be starting this June or July. We're working with the contractor to identify some times to meet with the neighbors, the abutters of the project, and we'll include the two ward councilors in that. That'll happen fairly soon. We're also working on the second phase of the bike path to make sure that that's a seamless project to the residents of Salem, so that those are completed at the same, that project completed at the same time as the roadway projects, about the complete path from Canal Street all the way up to Mill Street behind Domino's, connecting the Marblehead Trail to the downtown area. And we're also working on a project in the Brooks Road, Jefferson Ave area for flood mitigation as well. That's been designed and been permitted, and we're going through some FEMA funding issues to identify and make sure there's no historical areas that we could be disturbing. We're working through that and hope to get FEMA money fairly soon, and we can start that construction as well. So a lot of things going on in addition to the Canal Street flood mitigation project, which is the big ask in the CIP. This year we have a certain amount of money that we've reserved, but we need more money to be able to sign a contract with the contractor and get that moving forward. We hope that will start, at least be bid sometime this summer and start sometime in the fall. So a lot of things going on. Is in addition to the annual paving, we're working through those numbers and trying to identify the streets that we want to do and with what money is available. So.
And just one last piece I want to make note of is Dave is also usually the chief contact for all of the utility work that's going on. So whether it's the cable, replacement project or the big dig we have going out here on Washington Street and Marley Plaza for that project, a lot of that work, managing those contractors, managing those design teams, even when we bring people on staff, it really falls back on Dave's shoulders. So it's been no shortage of activities taking place in this department this year with all the utility work that's going on as well.
Right. I saw Councilor Milo's hand first.
I'm going to recuse myself
Before.
from the vote.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but
All right.
I've been advised that I can stay for the discussion, but just need to recuse myself.
Who wants to be? Do you want to ask? Who wants to ask their question? Okay. Who wants to go first? Now this is a first.
It's not the last.
Councilor Dibble.
Yes, a couple of fast things. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mayor, I've enjoyed working with your city engineer on all sorts of projects, so I think we keep him as well. This is good. He's doing a good job.
It's like Survivor.
No, it's good. I didn't see in the budget, so that you all know, there's 4 houses in Ward 7 that have had to tote their toters down about 100 yards through a tunnel to the other side of their street. So with regard to the west side or the higher number section of Parallel Street, it's not listed here in next year's budget, but we're going to continue the compromise
Absolutely.
forward?
Yes.
But it's not in here.
It's in the big number.
It's in the big number, okay.
Yeah, it's in that big number. It's not
Thank
broken
you.
up waste management and other things.
It took a while, but thank you for finding a very workable solution. The neighbors there are very happy to have trash and recycling service in front of their house like the rest of the city. That was a difficult one. Can you touch upon, I know you're working on Lafayette Street, the bike path crossing that heads over to Marblehead, and if there's anything in the budget here for design work or actual construction work, or what is the process for that?
It is included in one of the line items in the CIP request. I believe it's $35,000
Okay.
to install that.
I didn't see that, so thank you.
Section 7.
It's
So if
in
you want
a
to go to
separate
section
section.
7, it's right in there, under engineering.
Switch to it, thank you.
But there's $35,000 there. Not a lot of design work that's necessary. It's the same equipment that we've been using in different parts of the city, so we'll just procure that and install it.
You have come to so many South Salem Neighborhood Association meetings. I called you the other day, the South Salem city engineer. That was good. And I look forward to seeing you tomorrow night for, actually, you won't be there, but the plan that you have for the Raymond and Loring Avenue bump outs will be presented tomorrow night. So that's a good thing. Where are we with the Canal Street project? Are we still constructing the middle section and doing the intersections last and ordering the mast arms ahead of time, or where are we breaking ground?
We bid the whole project together. So it's the intersections on either end and then the roadway reconstruction in the middle with the northern part of the bike path. So the top third of the bike path will be constructed as part of the roadway work. It's up to the contractor. We didn't really require a lot of things other than making sure that the contractor was aware of the haunted happenings and the other city events that go on during the year. We really didn't require him to do certain things first and second and third. It's a lot better if you have the opportunity to do it, is to just present the project to different contractors, let them come up with a bid number that they think is the most efficient way to do things. So right now, the contract's been awarded to McCourt. They're in the process of submitting their schedule to us.
Okay, so we don't
Once
know
we
where to
understand
start
that.
quite yet.
Yeah, well, we think it's probably going to be on the lower end, down by Bertini's. Not the intersection work, because there are mast arms that have to be constructed, but
And then
probably
we-
start from the south and work to the north.
Through the chair, my last item, we had talked about possibly doing some temporary measures at the intersection of Loring Canal and Jefferson to allow for the next 2 years, before the new lights are up and the islands are removed and the intersection's all changed, but to make some temporary changes there to allow traffic to flow through, whether they cost no money or a little bit of money. But that was on our agenda, and we had so many other hot items, we didn't get to that last item. Where are we with those minor changes to that intersection?
The consultant is reviewing all of the requested changes. There are some that we'll have to go to Mass DOT to discuss and coordinate with, some things that we can go and do relatively quickly. It is a Mass DOT controlled intersection, so we will still have to coordinate with them, but the smaller things that we talked about, I think we can move forward with those. I haven't got confirmation yet from AECom, the consultant, that we can do that, but I expect that anytime. And we'll move forward if we can.
As a new council, I've learned that you don't make a whole lot of promises, but I made a lot of promises that we're gonna make traffic flow better. So I need your help on this, and with the good councilor for Ward 5 as well.
We'll do everything we can. Everything we can.
Councilor Gerard.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So just a couple of quick questions. So Jeff Cohen is no longer the recycling enforcer?
Yes.
So the grant's gone, the grant's done, we finished it, is that correct?
No.
Or so what's happening in?
We have a new mandatory recycling coordinator. It's David Holland, who's a Salem resident, and he's been in the position for,
Since December. Jeff left
Yeah.
in December and David assumed the job. They had 2 weeks of overlap. And it's a renewable grant,
Okay.
so that we do most of the funding through the grant, a little bit through our operating budget.
Okay.
And the way we stand right now, it looks like we'll get a little bit more money next year if everything stays the same. So the deadline's in 2 weeks, so hoping to get $20,000 next year to fund that position.
Okay, where is that?
Trash.
I'm sorry?
This is in trash.
In the enterprise.
Enterprise.
Trash
Okay.
Enterprise, yeah.
I'm sorry, solid waste enterprise.
Okay,
Section 29.
okay, thank you.
Solid waste enterprise.
And then just one other quick question, under the expenses, under Object Code 5851, the office equipment, what is the plan management initiative?
What page are you on?
So it's
236.
To keep, it's the large scale plans. It's a
Yeah, it's our plan scan. We scan all of the existing plans in our plan
Oh,
room.
got it.
So we've been, with the use of some interns, some paid, not some unpaid, we've been slowly chipping away at the amount of plans that we have, and we're scanning them all, cataloging them, hopefully make it easier for us, myself and others to access, and then eventually get that to the public information as well.
Great, thank you.
President Turiel.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Through you, not being a member of the committee, to Dave. We're looking at the projects, and this is, I know, for those watching at home too, this is where all the capital expense for the entire year basically has gone into this department, because we have the roadway construction, but the biggest thing we have here that's scheduled in the debt issuance is the money to do this Canal Street flood project. And so if you can just elaborate a little bit as to where we're at on that. I know that bidding has gone out at least once, and we've been dealing with design and bid issues and the like, and we've seen, and South Salem has seen the pump house design and all the like. So just if you can update us a little bit as to where you are with that.
Well, we did the initial phase of the drain work about 4 years ago, 3 years ago now. 2 years, when we were anticipating that the Canal Street project was going to move a lot quicker. For the roadway project, we didn't want to have the roadway project done and then have to go back into the road and put in these large pipes. So the piping in Canal Street has been done, and all the other utility work that needed to be done has been done. What's next left is to connect that piping into a subsurface storage facility that's on Salem State Cave Center parking lot, and also construct a pump station to pump that water. And we are going to pump it down Forest Ave, across Lafayette Street, down Clifton Ave, and then it's going to outlet into the Forest River Park. And in that park, there'll be a drainage swale. Take advantage of the treatment that we can use in a grass swale to treat the water. And that'll meander kind of down along the edge of the Forest River park behind the basketball court. We'll have to relocate the basketball court to make room for it along the edge of the baseball field, and then the water from the swale will exit into the pond that's there. And we're going to improve the outlet to the pond so that we can get better flushing of water through that pond and hopefully bring that back to a better ecological state. Right now, there's not a lot of worthy things going on in that pond, so we want to improve the water there, hopefully improve the quality of the water and the animals and flora and fauna that enjoy it. We're also going to open up that pond a little bit better by doing some selective clearing along the edge of where the parking is, so that people can look at the pond and have better access to it. And then we'll be putting some fencing on the backside along Pioneer Village. So there's other smaller drain systems that we have to put in off of Canal Street, but what they connect into has already been built. So the stubs are there. We just have to extend up Percy Street. There's a drain that goes up through Crosby's parking lot. There's a little area there that we need to get easements for, and also on the other side on Broadway and Ocean. So we have the project essentially designed. We're going through some final discussions with Salem State, and we've agreed to the area that we need for the subsurface tank and the pump station. We've shared with the neighbors what the vision is for those, what those look like, and we just need to coordinate the final start and stop type things, areas that we can use for construction with Salem State. We hope to do that fairly soon. Then we'll get the easements and we'll get right out to bid. So we're ready. We're very close to being bid.
I know original hope was to start that this summer, but that's obviously,
It's probably going to be later in the fall, yeah.
Thank you.
Councilor Lovely?
Just briefly, I'm very pleased to see in the CIP overview, the first and Swamp Street light. Can you talk a little bit about that? I know we've been at the 107 committee. They took a quick look at it, I'm sure. Is there any way we can use that consultant since they've already done some of the work? But if you just a thought, but if you could just address that, because I know hopefully there's some people watching at home. It's something they really like to see, and I'm very, very appreciative that you put this in.
We know that intersection with Swampscott Road needs some help. It's very busy.
Yeah.
A lot of the residents that live up on Traders Way and the Fairfields there try to get down to Swampscott Road. It gets backed up. There's a lot of traffic on Swampscott Road itself. So we've been looking at that for a while. Originally, in the previous transfer station plans, there was a requirement for the contractor to upgrade that intersection as part of the work. And for whatever reasons, that kind of fell apart. So we're moving forward with the transfer station work ourselves, and it made sense to try and identify this as a CIP project to look at it. We have had some consultants look at the area. One of them came up with a roundabout there rather than having a light. That may be something we want to advance, but the money in the CIP will advance through the design and identify what the construction cost will be, so we can get that going.
Just a timetable on that? I mean, obviously we're going to approve it.
Yeah.
July 1st, money's available, we'll start.
Okay.
We already, we did have some concepts done, though.
We did.
Was it AECom? I don't know who it was, or
Stantec.
FS&T?
Stantec,
Okay,
yeah.
so I know that we've already had some concepts done. They actually were, interestingly enough, that engineering firm working with 107, and these guys separately did both identify potential for a roundabout as opposed to a light, just as the initial concept. So we'll have to tease out the data and get them going on it, but assuming this moves forward. The goal would be nice to figure out what we're doing with the transfer station and kind of have the build out and whatever happens there, kind of attached and happening at the same time. And
Very
obviously be reflective.
We can let you know, I'm very appreciative on behalf of the constituents up there and for traffic flow.
Yeah, it's a problem. It's gotta
Thank
be
you very
addressed.
much. I appreciate it.
This is a follow-up to the Ward 3 councilor. I'm appreciative of that because it actually has a very positive, will have positive impact, I think, as well on the intersection with the state's help, obviously, but with Highland Ave and as traffic goes into Marlborough Road. I also want to say, and to go back to the councilor from Ward 7 in terms of follow-through on campaign promises, I really am appreciative of the Boston Street roadway improvement design. That was something 3 years ago, just to let you know, councilor, that it takes a while to go through the system. And we're thrilled. I'm thrilled to see it. I know that the Ward 4 and the residents along Boston Street, and frankly all of Salem, will be thrilled to see that corridor refabbed and I'm sorry that Jim Moskovitz isn't here to actually see that in that respect, because I know that's something he had been working on for quite a while. So I'm thrilled about that. My question is, I was asking when we were going to get a study. When are we going to put dollars in for an actual road to be?
For what? I'm sorry.
When can we see ground
This
broken?
is not a road that we would be able to complete ourselves, much like Canal Street, much like Bridge Street, much like North Street. We would want to advance this to the State Transportation Improvement Plan, so the TIP. In order to advance a project, we have to complete the design. So the first phase, and the cities, municipalities are required to pay for the design generally. So this will open the door for us to be able to get on that list. I think one of the things that's very strongly in our favor is the growth we're seeing in the Blubber Hollow neighborhood. So the projects, whether it's the Gateway Center or Flintan or Salem Oil and Grease, actually are private investment, which will help leverage us moving further up, either through a TIP or a Mass Works grant. The Lieutenant Governor was just in town today for signing of 3 different community compacts, and asked me, what do you have in for Mass Works? So we spent some time talking about that. The Mass Works grant we put in the last time looked at that intersection to a larger degree, and this project would involve design all the way from Essex and Boston, all the way to the Peabody line. So that's, Canal Street is a $12 million project. How much is Canal roughly?
10.5 in construction.
All right. So 10.5 in construction. Boston Street's way wider, arguably longer, especially if we're going all the way from the Essex Street intersection. It'll probably be closer to 12 to 15 million. Like that, we can't swing that. But the investment coupled with our willingness to be aggressive around the design, it'll meet the complete streets guidelines. All of a sudden, you start to check a lot of boxes to hopefully advocate for us to be able to put this on the TIP. We've been successful. It helps having good relationships with our legislative delegation and the administration, and the growth is key. They want to work in gateway cities, and they want to leverage some of that growth that we're seeing in the corridor. So.
And Mayor, I didn't see it specific. Maybe I did. I don't remember which list this was on within the plethora of documentation we have, which is phenomenal. But I thought that I saw a reference to ATG listed for $75,000.
Yeah,
so is this? So I guess my question is, we have medicinal marijuana in Salem, and as part of our community benefits agreement, if I'm correct,
we negotiated
that the administration negotiated that there's some of the profits that have come in from ATG are actually being used to better the neighborhood.
That's correct.
With this study.
Yeah,
Not specifically Ward 6,
That
but it's
money's
really
not
close.
just going up in smoke.
Yep, a portion of the, we negotiated a community benefits agreement for a percentage of the proceeds, and we are using that. We said we would use it for traffic upgrades, in the neighborhood, and so some of that is going to help this. We're also hoping that we can continue to push and prod the state on Highland Avenue. So this would be a great way to sort of continue that corridor, which is the other major access point in and out of the city, which hasn't had, the investment that it needs. So, we're hopeful if we do the design work and we're working with the state on their master plan. I did have some additional discussions with the engineering group. We're still struggling with that zigzag, like what's the best way to handle that? It's really tricky. They are going to look at, can we widen Traders Way and look at some driveway consolidations as that may be a means to better, better than that plan you and I saw, closing off Swampscott Road and, redirecting all the traffic onto Traders Way. Maybe there's an opportunity to grow some capacity on Traders Way, because right now, even Traders Way on a busy weekend really is difficult, and I'm not sure we have the driveway consolidation set up the way we probably would want to. There's multiple driveways kind of off kilter from each other that don't work as optimally as they could. So they're going to take a look at that as another way, means to potentially help with that circumstance. We'll see what they come up with.
There's another meeting coming up.
It's coming up, right?
Yeah.
I don't have the date on my calendar.
I don't think they've set a date yet.
No, I don't think so, no.
June, July, I think, and then final recommendation.
We also asked them to look at going beyond the right-of-way, so I don't know if they've spent any time looking at, some of those right-onlys. It would help if they didn't just hold themselves to the state right-of-way and thought about some potential easements or greater if necessary. So we'll see what they come up with.
Any further questions from the body? Councilor Dibble.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a point of clarification on the capital improvement plan. I guess page 5 would be the easiest place to find it. Dave and the mayor, if we could just clarify, actually to Dave, just clarify a couple of items. Under engineering, page 5, just so I have an understanding of, is this design work, is this construction work, and where is each one going? The second item, bike path design / construction, $25,000. What is that one?
That is an annual CIP amount that we get that we use to make short-term, smaller improvements to bike accommodations throughout the city. It's been used in the past for Sharrow systems on the harbor side of Lafayette Street as kind of a safe route to school program. We've used part of that to offset some of the costs for the bike path design off of Canal Street, but we try and keep that as to like a citywide annual effort for the bike accommodations.
Do you have a target for those funds for this coming year?
I know we need bike racks. We've had a number of requests from bike racks from schools in different areas. We're also talking to a company that wants to, I would say, upgrade our bike sharing program. So if you have a certain need, please let us know. We've been putting aside $25,000 a year to support bike plan initiatives from the last bike master plan. You'll note that we have another $100,000 in here to upgrade the new bike master plan coming up, to upgrade the current master plan that we have. But if there's certain areas, it's not a ton of money, to be honest, in terms of, construction of large paths, but it does help with signage and sharrows and markings, and that's what we've used it for in the past.
We've talked about also internally working with the Bike Path Committee on trying to set priorities for some of the funding that we have available for that.
I did meet with them, Mr. Chair. I did meet with the the new bike committee at their last meeting, and I'm excited for the city.
Me too.
There are a lot of good appointees there. There were 4 different items under CIP for bikes. The second one was bike master plan updates, $100,000. What specifically is that?
That's to look citywide and kind of look at long-term, set a master plan for where do we want to go with bikes and bike accommodations. Obviously when the Canal Street bike path gets built, it's going to end at Mill Street. Then a natural connection would be to go from Mill Street somehow to get to the train station. There are other corridors in the city that, we can start to look at.
Thank you. What specific needs will that $100,000 fund?
I believe that's the actual master plan update. So we have a master plan that we've been working off of that's 3, maybe 4 years old now. And this is meant to upgrade that and build in construction estimates, real action items that we can then hopefully incorporate into the CIP going forward. So we'd love to figure out almost a hub and spoke system. We can get from downtown Salem to downtown Marblehead, almost all off-road. Other priorities, do we want to try and look at obviously any of our newer projects are going to have complete streets, but are we linking parks? I'd love, where I live, the opportunity to get people off of main roads like a Marlboro Road and use some of those wooded areas for bike paths that could connect you to McGrath Park, where many families go on a regular basis to play youth soccer. We're going to have upgrades to Forest River Park. Is there a great way to connect people to parks? But really the master plan will take a look at best identifying what are those connections that we need to make, what's the cost to do that, what's the materials. We try and get as deep as we can in that work and then support it with the CIP.
Mr. Chair, the third one on the bike path, and there's 3 or 4, is Canal Street roadway and bike path improvements. I assume that's from Domino's Pizza to Gardner Mattress? Is that section?
It's actually the lower section. The upper section from Domino's to about Roslyn Street is going to be constructed. It's part of the work that's going to start this summer. We're working through that lower 2/3 of the bike path right now. And that's that separate project that we're working on, the phase 2. So that will fund some of the design for that, and then also some of the non-participating work that typically comes out of these TIP projects. They don't pay for 100%. We try and get them to pay for as close as they can to it, but there are some things that we have to pay as part of that. So that's what's included in that 1.2.
That's design work. So as part of the construction process, the bike path will be built from Riley Plaza to Gardner Mattress? Is that correct?
When we're done.
When you're done,
phase
2
2
years from now.
Yes, that's the plan.
The last item is the one I'm trying to get to. It says enhanced bike crossing signal on Lafayette at Marblehead Rail Trail, $35,000. Is that for design or design and construction?
Just implementation. That's construction.
That's for construction.
Yes.
And that will happen this year? Well, we don't know what the design is yet, but that's okay. But that was under this fiscal year.
That should be.
That's awesome. Thank you. No more questions.
Any further questions from Counselors? Seeing none, I'll open up to the public. Any questions from the public? All right. Then I think we're ready to vote. The first one, if I'm correct, and I'll refer to Stanton if she's got this, but number 20.
Yep. So you're going to be voting 20, 27, 27 and 28.
Okay.
And 29.
All right, Councillor Gerard.
Thank you, Mr. President.
And let the record note that Councillor Milo has recused herself from this.
Thank you, Mr. I'm going to say Mr. Gerard. Mr. Chair. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move for approval of engineering personnel budget in the amount of $84,703.
Second.
Been moved by Councillor Gerard, seconded by Councillor Dibble. Personnel expenses for the engineering department in the amount of $84,703. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Matter carries. Councillor Gerard.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move for approval of the engineering non-personnel expenses in the amount of $6,200.
Second.
Been moved by Councillor Gerard, seconded by Councillor Dibble, of non-personnel expenses for the engineering department in the amount of $6,200. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Ayes have it. Councillor Gerard.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move for the approval of the department total in the amount of the engineering department total in the amount of $90,903.
Second.
Been moved by Councillor Gerard, seconded by Councillor Dibble, of total personnel and non-personnel expenses for the engineering department in the amount of $90,903. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Matter carries. Next item on that is number 27, engineering under sewer enterprise. Councillor Gerard.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for approval of the engineer personnel budget on the sewer enterprise in the water enterprise in the amount of $153,611. Whoa, no.
Let's do
Sewer enterprise, sorry. $153,611.
Okay. Is there a second?
The question, is that the correct amount?
It is.
What page are we on?
On page 326.
Thank you.
Check your little guide.
Yeah, this is a helpful cheat sheet.
Steve,
You guys should each
you
have
can check the
one.
little guide that's, we have here, the...
Yep, use that.
Two-pager.
Go to the second page.
Let me just go on the record and ask Ms. Stanton.
Yeah.
Ms. Stanton, when you prepared, I sound like a litigator for some reason.
Yes, totally.
When you prepared this, this spreadsheet.
Yes.
You and/or
Nina.
Yep.
prepared this. This is an accurate reflection of all of the different numbers that are included within this large budget book.
Absolutely.
Okay.
We thought it would be a little bit nicer of a summary. Not that I don't like
It is
you guys
extraordinarily nice and helpful summary.
Good.
All right, so back to the matter at hand. We have a motion for personnel expenses on engineering sewer enterprise in the amount of $153,611. Do I have a second?
Second.
Been moved by Councillor Gerard, seconded by Councillor Fury, of personnel expenses, engineering sewer enterprise in the amount of $153,611. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Matter carries. Councillor Gerard.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move to approve the sewer enterprise engineering non-personnel expenses in the amount of $227,150.
Second.
Been moved by Councillor Gerard, seconded by Councillor Dibble, of non-personnel expenses for engineering sewer enterprise in the amount of $227,150. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Matter carries. Councillor Gerard.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move for approval of the sewer enterprise engineering department total in the amount of $380,761.
Second.
Been moved by Councillor Gerard, seconded by Councillor Dibble, of total personnel and non-personnel expenses for engineering sewer enterprise in the amount of $380,761. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Matter carries. Councillor Gerard.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move for approval of the water enterprise under engineering personnel expenses in the amount of $153,611.
Seconded.
It's been moved by Councillor Gerard, seconded by Councillor Dibble. Personnel expenses of $153,611 under engineering water enterprise. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Matter carries. Counselor Gerard.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move for approval of the water enterprise and engineering, the non-personnel expenses in the amount of $476,325.
Second.
Been moved by Counselor Gerard, seconded by Counselor Dibble, of engineering water enterprise, non-personnel expenses in the amount of $476,325. Let the record reflect that Counselor Fury has recused himself at the moment. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Matter carries. Counselor Gerard.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move for approval of the department total for the water enterprise engineering in the amount of $629,936.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Been moved by Counselor Gerard, seconded by and let the record reflect that Counselor Fury has returned. Been moved by Counselor Gerard, seconded by Counselor Dibble, of total personnel and non-personnel expenses, engineering water enterprise in the amount of $629,936. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. Matter carries. Counselor Gerard.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move for approval of the trash enterprise in personnel in the engineering department in the amount of $74,366.
Seconded.
It's been moved by Counselor Gerard, seconded by Counselor Dibble, of personnel expenses, engineering trash enterprise in the amount of $74,366. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Matter carries. Counselor Gerard.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move for approval of the trash enterprise expenses, the non-personnel expenses, in the amount of $2,863,108.
Seconded.
Been moved by Counselor Gerard, seconded by Counselor Dibble, of non-personnel expenses, engineering trash enterprise in the amount of $2,863,108. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Ayes have it. Matter carries. Counselor Gerard.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move for approval of the trash enterprise department total in the amount of $2,937,474.
Seconded.
Been moved by Counselor Gerard, seconded by Counselor Dibble. The total personnel and non-personnel expenses of engineering trash enterprise in the amount of $2,937,474. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Matter carries. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Dave.
Good night. Do we want to take a 1 minute break?
Sure. I mean, I have the bench out for the recreation act
For the whole thing?
for admin only.
Okay. We're just going to recess for like 2 minutes.
Who's
Motion
up
to
next?
recess.
Park
Recreation.
Parks and Rec.
Gotta grab some water.
The Administration and Finance Committee is coming out of recess. Here we are. It's 8:05, and we are now going forward with the Recreation and Community Service Department.
21 for those that are interested.
Yes. Councilor Gerard, and I'll go to Councilor Dudley.
Point of personal privilege.
Yeah.
It's my first budget in 30 years. I do notice that the form is a little bit different, and I've asked people who've been around. As far as the voting, I guess I'd defer to the finance director. Is there a requirement to take a vote individually, any state requirement to do that?
There is not, no.
I understand it's been done that way for many, many years, but my understanding, when we were here many, many years ago, when a budget would come in, for instance, the public services, there'd be a motion to move approval as presented, and that would be approved. Now, I know you've gone tediously through each line item. While I can appreciate it, there's a cut in the budget. I'm just letting this, I wasn't aware of any requirement to do so, other than perhaps tradition, and that's why I wanted to know if there's any requirement to do that. Certainly, the committee can do whatever it wishes, but I'm hoping that, the budget looks pretty tight. We're getting a lot of good explanation about where the money's going, that we come to a city council. I'm all for frugal time on committee and council meetings, as you probably noticed. So I'm hoping that perhaps that we can move, if there are cuts in the budget, that we can address those on the council floor and then vote the budget as presented, if that's the wish of the council, rather than, I'm just concerned about going through the tedious motion of what you're doing here, and I'm not trying to be critical of you as chairman or the committee, but that's why I wanted to defer to the finance director.
So there's no legal requirement to vote personnel and non-personnel. There is a requirement, obviously, to separate the expenses for our accounting purposes, but if the council said, for the planning board, for instance, proposed by the mayor, $33,248, completely fine. It doesn't have to be a separate vote for personnel, separate vote for non-personnel. It's not legally required, it's not mandated, it's up to the choice of the council how they'd like to handle it.
Thank you. Mr. Chairman.
Councilor Lovely, I appreciate what you're saying. I too am a big believer in trying to shorten time when it's possible, but I'm also very cognizant of the fact that at least in the limited amount of time that I've been on the council, and I believe I won't speak for Councilor Fury for sure, but I believe in the past several years, this has been the tradition. Without the full council taking this as taking this approach with respect, I'm not going to change this, at this point.
If I could, Mr. Chairman, I'm not asking you to change it. I just wanted to know if there was a legal requirement to do so, and that just not so much putting anybody in notice, but I'm hoping that people will understand that once you've done the hard work here in the committee, that we get to the council, that if it's not necessary, it be the will of the council that we act in an expeditious manner, because we all have a lot of work to do. I commend you for serving as chairman, as well as people who serve in the committee. But I'm hoping that I will try to get a consensus from the council to do just that, if there being no objection at that particular time.
And that's fine. And actually, what this could be something that also the chair of our ad hoc committee on rules, that could be something that we, within that particular group too, could come up with some recommendation for a rule of however it is that we deal with budgets. But I'll leave that to that chair and that committee and its best wishes. But if certainly if it's the will of the body to change the protocol on what we do within the finance committee, I will certainly support that. But I don't want to unilaterally make that choice.
No, I just wanted to know if there was a legal requirement to do it in the fashion that we're proceeding. And I understand, in speaking to the esteemed clerk, that it's been done that way at least as long as she's been here. And I'm not going to say how long it's been. Certainly not quite as long. I served with her father here, and I suggested to her, boy, your father would have a different take on this, and she laughed. So the great George McCabe Sr. was my mentor here on the City Council and a wonderful friend of the family. But I've said enough, and sorry to delay your...
I think the discussion we've always had is what the work of the committee does. It's really orderly, actually, probably for you and for us to do it this way. But the night of the approval of the full budget, that's when it feels, I don't know if you guys, like so tedious just to go through personnel, non-personnel, recommendation. There's not really a lot of discussion, nor, we've sort of had that, and maybe that's where the change could be made, because that is pure tedium for anybody watching too. And
if in fact we maintain, certainly putting this on SATV, we certainly don't need to do it twice.
Right.
If we do it once, this would be the place to do it.
I agree.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's orderly this way.
I wanted to get some clarification, because I wasn't sure if there was some new statute that had passed since I was here, or that we just ignored the statute back in the day. So that was mine. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Absolutely. Councilor Gerard.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just to make everyone aware that I checked with the city solicitor as well, who then checked with the Ethics Commission, that because of my employment with the Y, I cannot deliberate or vote, and I have to recuse myself on the administration part of the Park and Rec budget.
So you're welcome to stay for the duration for those limited portions if you wouldn't participate in the deliberation. And then once we will vote. When we vote on those items, if you could recuse yourself, I think that's the way to do it, unless you think differently. But I'll follow your lead, Councilor.
The city solicitor says where the Y has an interest in getting the contract funded for the pool management, you must recuse yourself. So where that's part of this, I think I should just...
Fair enough. All right. So we are on item number...
21.
On item number 21 within our budget books. And
think everyone, hopefully maybe has had a chance to meet Patricia O'Brien, our new Park Rec and Community Services Director. She's been with us now 3 months? Not quite? 2 months. Okay, so almost 2 months.
Almost.
Came to us from Mass Maritime as the Assistant Athletic Director there, but has a long history in Salem, both at Salem State and at the Boys and Girls Club prior to that. So I think it's been great having you back in the community and seeing some of the work that's going on. And we've already seen some just terrific new programming, new access. I also want to mention Meredith McDonald, who's also here, our COA Director. 2 areas that, again, we're seeing increased access and, you know, I think a really strong culture. We just need a new building, and we're working hard on that. I know all of you know that. So I want to make sure you meet these 2 players. Jason's here as well, obviously, because frankly, he put most of this budget together, more so than Tricia did, because he was helping out in the interim before Tricia was here. So we thought between the group, we should be able to answer questions and provide some insights into the direction we're hoping things are going to go into over the course of the next fiscal year.
I told Trish, though, she's been here 2 months, so she's an expert on all of it. It's going to be fine.
And I know that also, Trish, you circulated this amended version of the narrative.
Yes,
which
correct.
I appreciate, and I think all the counselors have that. And if you don't, for whatever reason, I'm sure Tricia's got extra copies. And then we also have, once we get to it, we're not there yet, but on the Council on Aging, there's an amended version of the Council on Aging narrative as well. So I'll turn it over to you guys, and any opening statements that you want to make before we ask questions.
If I may, before you begin. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd just like to say welcome. Some of us knew Tricia, Director O'Brien, 30 years ago, so welcome back. Some of us had children that graduated from Mass Maritime, so that's a great training program, if you would, along your career. So I'd like to welcome both of you. I think this is your first time here, but am I wrong? This is Jason's last time here. So thank you, all 3, for your hard work on behalf of the City of Salem.
Thank you. I'm glad to be back.
We're excited
Really
that
excited.
you're here.
Thanks.
This is good.
Me too.
I'll give just a quick opening on how excited we are about the growth in the programming. You'll see some changes in this budget reflective of us really trying to enhance access for youth in particular. So we're doing things like taking back the basketball league internally to make it more affordable. We're bringing back the parks program and a couple more parks to try and have them staffed during the summer. We've talked about one of the contractors being the Y. We do work with the YMCA on managing the pool. They were formerly working with us on running our summer camp. We've taken that program back at Forest River. So, what I've seen just in the short time, frankly, Jason starting there and Tricia taking the handoff as the new director, and Meredith as well joining the team, it's just been a lot more attention to programming and to access. Kathy McCarthy, another really good addition in this department in terms of building programs that people want, really paying attention to the needs of the community, even more so than we have in the past, along with some technology upgrades, new website, new opportunities to sign up online for programs, rather than doing the paper mailing, trying to use the web and spread the word and social media to grow program participation. And I know the participation rates that I saw just over the last 3 months, we've really seen a strong uptick, both in the quality of programs, the quantity of programs, and people signing up for them. So hopefully we're in the, moving in the right direction in terms of gaining access. And Trish, I don't want to steal any of the thunder, or Jay, you guys have done all the yeoman's work.
I'll just say, I stepped in for about 3 or 4 months in an acting role until we were able to find new leaders of the department. And having worked for the city combined 8.5, I think that's about right, 8.5 years. Even being here that long, I didn't have a perfect grasp on what actually happens in that building. When you think of the COA, sometimes you think of the actual physical structure of the senior center. And as we all know, it's not a state-of-the-art facility. But when you actually walk in and see what happens in the building, it's actually quite amazing. And the impact that the staff have on the people that go there, and even the people who don't go there but participate in programs elsewhere, is quite remarkable. We have a really gifted, talented staff at the COA, in the recreation areas, and it was really awesome to be part of for 4 or so months. And so even just that short stint was a great learning experience to actually see firsthand those impacts and see where, in a short period of time, I think the department has really grown leaps and bounds and really made great progress in a whole lot of ways. Some the mayor mentioned already, but the expansion of programs, the improvements in promotions of programs, the leaders of some of the offsites at Winter Island and the golf course, the Witch House in Pioneer Village, who are amazingly dedicated. It's I think it's just a wonderful department, and I think we're just starting to reach its potential, but there's a lot more there that we can do. So I think it's an exciting time for both these two staff to be starting because like I said, the potential is really high.
And we're getting a new building, I heard.
So.
I built it myself. We're getting a new building.
Well, I'm just thrilled to be here, and I'll just echo that. I've only been here 7 weeks, but and Meredith is 3 months. 3 months. So the staff seems to be amazing. I'm really excited to pick up where Jason left off, and we're thrilled to be able to program and listen to what the community needs and wants.
Let's open this up to questioning. Councilor Milo.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I don't have a question, but I have a comment. And since I was elected, 2.5 years ago, I began going down to that building very shortly after I was elected because I'm the liaison to the Council on Aging. The difference in the level of energy that you feel when you walk through that door now or within the last, say, 3 or 4 months compared to previously is just, you can't really compare the two. So I want to thank first Jason for stepping in that leadership role, and then both to Trish and to Meredith for continuing that leadership and for appreciating the folks who are down there and for their talents and for capitalizing on that and making them feel appreciated every day, because I know you do, and I know they appreciate it, and I think it comes through 150% to anybody that walks in that building. I'm gonna guess that happens outside of the building when, say, Eric goes off and, refs a game or whatever Eric does when he's not there, I'm not sure, but...
Energizer bunny.
I mean, I just, and I'm not really one to kind of go on and on and on, but really, you have done wonders, and I just appreciate it, and my only hope is that you will get a building that is worthy of your commitment to the city. So I just want to say thank you to you both.
Thank you.
To 3 of you.
I appreciate it.
Thank you. Seriously.
Need that building.
Yeah.
Councilor Lovely.
Just one comment. Recreation is very important to the city. Larry McIntyre was the director when I was on the city council, my first role, and he was always available and open. I'm sure you'll be the same. The only just issue that's come up regarding my ward is Castle Hill Playground, used quite a bit. There's no facilities for men or women there, for especially a lot of the high school teams travel a great distance. I walk through there quite often, and there's always seems to be high school JVs, freshmen playing there, whether it's soccer, it's not too much soccer, but it's softball, and I think there's some field hockey there as well. And particularly for the women, there's no facilities there, and hopefully the school year is almost over, so hopefully when I call next year, or have that in your mind wherever the kids are playing, and the adults as well, because there are some industrial leagues that play there on the weekends, that we need to think about maybe something temporary. And then I don't know if there's anything elaborate, but nothing's easy, nothing's inexpensive. But especially I feel badly for the girls who are down there playing. I grew up in Castle Hill. We played our games there for the boys. Not so difficult, but for the girls, it shouldn't be for anybody, but times are different, and hopefully I'll be calling you on that, or at least have that in in your thought process. And thank you for your
Definitely.
service, and
Thank you.
welcome to Salem.
Thanks.
Welcome back to Salem.
Thank you.
I want to, well, I do have one question. On the CIP for basketball court renovations, is one of the basketball court areas Gallows Hill, the top of the hill? Fantastic. Thank you. Thank you very much for that. Thank you for both, on behalf of Ward 4 residents especially, well, and anyone who plays basketball, frankly. The mayor can probably attest to this as well.
Partial to making sure we have good hoops. We need one at Pickman Park, actually.
Yep. But I just want to commend Parks and Recs, Jason, and the mayor for doing that for the upper part of Gallows Hill. And then the other is, and I've talked with Jason extensively about it, but the Ryan Brennan Memorial Skate Park renovation. I'm definitely looking forward to, and actually working with Trish now in putting together a small neighbors group and or kids who are skaters who can be helping be part of that design. To make that useful. It's great. It's there've been several times where I've had to, well, a couple of times where I've had to take pictures of some of the graffiti that's on the current thing that's there, and it'll be good to see some TLC put into that. And
It's more than TLC.
It does a little. It does need more, but it's much appreciated. And that's both from not only from the city's general fund, but CPA dollars as well for the skate park. That's going to be used for that. And I want to thank the CPC for that. We handled that at the last council meeting, but that will be definitely helpful to the folks in Ward 4 and Salem as well. Any other comments or questions for we're just dealing with the recreation part of this. We'll get to COA and veterans in just a second. Councilor Fury.
On a personal point, I think Councilor O'Keefe, the former mayor, Sam Saul, will be very pleased what's going on Winter Island. Mm-hmm. What a jewel that is. That has come every single year in the last number of years, becoming a jewel beyond treasure. And it's amazing how family-friendly, vibrant and active that is. It's very accessible now. Most of Winter Island is very walkable, accessible, all year round. It's absolutely beautiful. Mayor Sam's who was the city councilor here in this chamber, and Joel O'Keefe, would be very pleased. Others, thank you very much. Keep up the
Trails
work.
look amazing. Yeah, they're really coming along.
Has anybody been out there lately? Where as soon as you go into Winter Island, right on the right, there's going to be a trail that loops all the way around, goes back behind the water. It's been under construction. And then at the fort, they're actually doing some restoration work. You can see the moat. And we've got the final stages of both of those projects will be wrapped up in the next few weeks. So super excited about just gaining that access. Yeah.
I walked it last week. It's a lot of work you're doing there.
Yeah. What amazing views of Smith Pond. I mean, like areas that you never really used to, be able to access as easily. So it's pretty cool. We're excited about it. It's good projects.
All right, so that we can allow, I'm sorry, Councilor Dipple.
A couple questions.
Yeah.
Mayor, with regard to the golf course, or Jason, just kind of curious, I've heard rumors that you're thinking about privatizing the work on the golf course, and that's something that I would be against at this time. I'm in favor of a lot of other measures that way. I'm just curious if you could touch upon that, but also what amount of money comes in, and what amount of percentage of that money goes back into our general funds, and not just general, but everywhere else that it goes outside of the golf course? How much money does that generate for us?
So I'll do two things. I'll leave the specifics on the revenues coming in. We can look that number up. Sarah can provide those details. Two, I don't know what you're talking about privatizing. The golf superintendent, Paul, does an amazing job out there. We never thought we'd be able to replace Dick Drew, because Dick did great work out there, and I think somehow we found another Ted Williams, because Paul just really works at it, and we continue to get praise and accolades for the conditions of the course, and every year he takes on a little project, an area, an area that he wants to improve, and really tackles it in the off season and goes at it. So I don't think we're looking to do other than support the work that's underway there for the most part. So I'm not.
Right.
The only thing, this was a few years ago now, but there was Some of the business operations were privatized, what, 3 or 4 years ago, maybe?
Yeah, and even
So-
now, the Golf Super is doing, the Golf Pro
Yeah, so
is doing a lot of that.
Yeah, so Scott's doing a lot of that work with the pro shop and the business components, and Paul is doing, all the management of the grounds.
Yeah, so we've got good employees, and then in terms of revenues coming in, so I think every year, somebody's asked us, should you look at making this an enterprise fund? Does it fully support itself? And it really doesn't. We bring in revenues. It almost breaks even in terms of the cost to operate the golf course based on what they bring in for dollars. So you'll see we take all the revenues into the general fund, and then we typically will sweep that area. We also have a receipts reserved account, so they can, when they need a lease for golf carts and things that are out of the ordinary that other departments don't use, we normally try and tap that account.
Yeah, I'm just on it right
But
now.
the revenues have been growing. Paul, frankly, the weather has improved, so weather has a lot to do with it. If you can play in December, that, as we know, golfers will play whenever you possibly can. And we did have a slight increase when we brought on board the Golf Pro to help bring our fees more in line with, something similar to what other courses, municipal courses were charging. And so the Park and Rec department normally is the group that refines those, looks at those numbers, and does a pretty good job not wanting to be overpriced so that we actually are driving down participation, but not wanting to be, underpriced so we're not necessarily capturing what we need to operate the facility. And I think there's a good balance, but we can get you those numbers if we don't have them here. You got them, perfect. So this has more, it's actually in your narrative, right? So if you look at your narrative, you can take the one that was just handed out. It gives you the amount of season passes sold, total revenue in terms of over the last several years. Actuals in 15 were $725,000. So to give you an order of magnitude with respect to what's happening there.
That's the revenue in, right? You hear rumors and through the chair that it's a money maker for the rest of our budget throughout the whole city, but it's really not. It's kind of a wash.
Yep.
Okay. It's interesting to hear. And on recreation programs, if I would, I'd like to encourage your new director to welcome volunteers in who want to teach and coordinate different events and significantly grow our recreational offerings to children, to seniors, to adults, to everybody, any which way you can, with good and creative programming. Your assistant, I think it's Eric, I'm not sure. I forget his name, but I run a couple things. I used to run a couple things for the recreation department as a volunteer. A couple years ago, or a year and a half ago, my volunteer chess club I've run for 22 years went from 68 kids down to 4. And then the library asked me to move it to the library, and we did that. But the cribbage was very, very good this year, I just want to say. Your assistant, who's brand new, jumped in, and he helped save that program, and that was a very successful program through your department this year. So again, I just want to state, I encourage you to bring, the Salem residents have so much to offer and to teach and share their ideas with other people. Put up the red carpet, welcome these folks to come in and help you run some of your programs. The city will jump, if you put an advertisement out, you'll get volunteers coming to help.
Okay.
On all sorts of things. The last one I had was on Winter Island. If you can touch upon that long-range plans, can we finally get to the hangar and the barracks building and before they fall down? Let's do something creative with them. Is there anything in this year's budget, if not the next year's budget? Let's get those things occupied.
I mean, the great news is we have a master plan, and we've been trying to pick off projects within that master plan for Winter Island. But even with the master plan, they didn't identify a very specific reuse for the hangar, and that's been one of the struggles. I think we've identified in that plan, if you look at it, they talked about would it make a good inn, a school, if there was a school in terms of needing, we've had discussions with, frankly, Mass Maritime in the past about when the power plant was operational, because they train at power plants, would this be something they were interested in looking at as a North Coast kind of stop? And they really have never expressed an interest in doing that. So for us, it's trying to find a good partner to work with that's not going to overtake the character of the island. I think we love the fact that it's this wonderful recreational gem. How do you build a partner that maybe from the private sector or a public sector partner that could play a role in helping to restore those buildings, but not overpower, the use of the island for that particular facility in a way that's a negative or a detriment to what we have going on there now. And that's been our struggle. The hangar is very expensive. It's only the second hangar left of its kind. So we'd love to work with Salem and figuring out a way to have it be a space that could accommodate them better and also provide public space. But it's a $10 million fix.
It's not just your struggle. Mayor Levesque struggled with it. Mayor Salvo wanted to do a bunch of things. Mayor Harrington, Mayor Yusevich.
Yeah.
We had all these ideas and master plans for Winter Island over and over again. Gary Moore, way back 35 years ago, was working on things. Next year, please, let's get something in there for Winter Island. It's a gem, and it could look like a gem. Right now, it's really close.
So the conversations we've had are putting together almost more of a steering committee, because the master plan had a large group of people. I want to say there were 19 odd people that were involved in that process. Steve Cecil, an architect and consultant, did a great job, really putting together some ideas. But now it's sort of like, how do you turn that into an implementation phase? And to be frank, I don't think we have the resources to make that type of investment. Could we partner with somebody to create an inn there? Is that the type of use that people would applaud? It's a seasonal use. You've got the wonderful lawn. It could provide, a respite. The hangar is a little trickier, in terms of finding use for it. But trying to figure out, are there partners, joint ventures that people would be willing to work with and support? The title's a complete mess out there because of the way it was provided to the city in terms of being a right of reverter to the Coast Guard should they ever want to enter it again. We've worked through with Plummer Home some of the access issues. They own a portion of the roadway that's out, so we do have an easement over that. There's just a lot of moving parts to it, but I agree. We've talked about forming a steering committee who can really own, sort of an implementation phase, and wanting to have somebody work with us to own what some of those options are. Putting out an RFP, to see what type of response we get. But again, not wanting it to be over-privatized and being thoughtful.
I agree with you. I think the barracks building would be an easier fit to get that going first, and then that might steamroll into something at the hangar.
You're right. I agree.
And you send out a lot of ribbon cutting ceremonies, so all sorts of business coming into Salem. I look forward to that ribbon cutting ceremony at the barracks building.
Me too.
Thank you, Councilor Dibble. Because the councilor opened up the door on both the golf course and Winter Island, I just want to go clarify with Ms. Stanton. I'm looking at both in the narrative section. I'm looking at both the Witch House as well as Pioneer Village, which the city has taken over the course of several years. And I would note for both of those that the revenues that are coming into those not that this is indicative of anything that's historical, but it pays for itself. It more than pays for itself. It actually brings in money.
Yeah, so the trust brings in about $250,000, a little bit more than the $720 or so that the golf course brings in, but both are, I would say, very well run by Elizabeth. I think she's the best steward you could possibly ask for of said revenues. We got about $250,000 comes in, which supports the operating costs of said program.
So I just want to note that, especially for our viewers at home, that these are not lost leaders, and
Absolutely not.
that they actually not only maintain themselves but help the bottom line for the city.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I just want to say I'm incredibly impressed with the three of those people, directors right now, and the best thing that I can say is they take it personal. Paul takes care of that golf course like it's his backyard, and Elizabeth does the same thing, and Dave Gilbert is amazing, and they put in so many hours that you just can't even imagine. I mean, Paul's out at the golf course at 4 o'clock in the morning, 2:30 in the morning, aerating so that the golfers can get out there, and it's only one day that it's kind of a little bit messy. There's not a lot of people out there that do things like that, so we're really lucky to have them all.
Any further questions for Trish or anyone else on the recreation portion of the budget? Seeing none, let me open it up to the public. Any questions from the public? Seeing none, okay. Councilor Milo, would you be willing to take the laboring war here?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move under Recreation, Administration, and Support for personnel expenses that we approve expenses in the amount of $272,757.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved by Counselor Milo, seconded by Counselor Fury, of personnel expenses for administration and support for the Recreation Department. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Matter carries.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move for non-personal expenses under Recreation, Administration, and Support that we approve $222,310.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved by Counselor Milo, seconded by Counselor Fury, of non-personnel expenses for administration and support and Recreation Department in the amount of $222,310. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Matter carries.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Move that we approve $495,067 under personnel and non-personnel for recreation, administrative, and support.
Is there a second?
Second.
Been moved by Counselor Milo, seconded by Counselor Fury, of total personnel and non-personnel expenses for administration and support for the Recreation Department in the amount of $495,067. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Matter carries.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Under the golf course, personnel expenses, move that we approve $283,441.
Is there a second?
Second.
Been moved by Counselor Milo, seconded by Counselor Fury, of personnel expenses for the golf course in the amount of $283,441. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Matter carries.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. For the golf course, under non-personal expenses, move that we approve $186,880.
Is there a second?
Second.
Been moved by Counselor Milo, seconded by Counselor Fury, of non-personnel expenses of the golf course in the amount of $186,880. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Ayes have it.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Under the golf course, total personnel and non-personnel, move that we approve $470,321.
Second.
Been moved by Counselor Milo, seconded by Counselor Dibble, of total personnel and non-personnel expenses for the golf course in the amount of $470,321. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Matter carries.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Under the Witch House personal expenses, move to approve $103,327,000.
Second.
Been moved by Counselor Milo, seconded by Counselor Dibble, of personnel expenses for the Witch House in the amount of $103,327. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Matter carries.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Under the Witch House non-personal expenses, move to approve $63,480,000.
Second.
This is $63,480.
Yeah, 63,480.
$480, excuse me. Move that we approve $63,480.
Otherwise, we'd have a whole bunch of expenses for the
The
Witch
Witch
House.
House would be happy, right, Elizabeth?
The good counselor said it
Almost
correctly
got
the
away with
first
that
time.
one.
Oh, she did?
Yes.
I misheard it. The chair apologizes. So it's been moved and seconded moved by Counselor Milo, seconded by Counselor Dibble, of non-personnel expenses for the Witch House in the amount of $63,480. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Matter carries.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Move that we approve total personnel and non-personnel expenses for the Witch House in the amount of $166,807.
Second.
Been moved by Counselor Milo, seconded by Counselor Dibble, of total personnel and non-personnel expenses for the Witch House in the amount of $166,807. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. Matter carries.
Thank you, Mr.
Counselor Dibble.
Yes, if you can entertain me for a second, Mr. Chair. Before we vote on Pioneer Village, I do have a question on Pioneer Village. I know the village quite well. I've spent many nights sleeping there with my Boy Scout troop, making all sorts of renovations. I'm concerned in what I heard on one of the South Salem meetings that the fencing was going to come down along the far side of the pond, and it was going to become more visible and more accessible to the public. And that scares me a little bit because I don't want to see people being able to easily go in there at night. Where do we stand on securing that in the future after the storm drain work is built? And then I have a follow-up comment as well.
And that's part of the work with Dave Knowlton. I know that we will be restoring the pond, and I think the intention is to put a fence back, but on the other side of the pond. But we'll get that played
I think
out.
Elizabeth had voiced her concerns to him about making sure that it stayed private so that people couldn't just see it and then therefore not come in.
I know the fencing on the other side of the pond secures it where young children can't go into the pond. So I think we need to really look at that. Make sure we have security for the pond, for children drowning or just getting in there, and then also security on Pioneer Village. It's a resource that we just can't take down the fence.
We've been working closely with Dave. the city engineer has been working closely with Elizabeth on this, but yeah, we can absolutely go over that with you, Council.
I see in here that there's a budget item for repairing the fence and changing it from chain link to keeping it hidden as a wooden fence or so that you can't see the metal fence. I want to let you know that Troop 83 here in Salem, about 9 or 10 years ago, voted for a 5-year period, if you can entertain me, Mr. Chairman, voted for a 5-year period to help reopen Pioneer Village and to do a lot of service projects within Pioneer Village. And since that vote about 10 years ago of the Boy Scout troop, the scouts and adults have spent hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of total hours in there, building a couple bridges, restoring the fence around the perimeter to a wooden fence. The first one was to reopen it. It took truckloads of trash out of there and other things where it had been closed for about a 6-year period. I think right when Mayor Driscoll first came in, it had been closed for a number of years, and then she has worked to get it reopened. I think that was under your leadership. I'm not sure, but it had been closed for about 6 years. They filmed a couple movies in there, but it's a resource that we're not using to the level that we should be using it. So now, if we're making changes with the fencing, let's do it right, and let's keep growing Pioneer Village. It's a wonderful resource. It's a really small budget item in here. I don't know if that's enough to bring it up to a higher level. And I'm just thinking out loud with you, but the city loves Pioneer Village, the whole North Shore, and again, hundreds of volunteers have gone in there. So if there's work to be done, from building earthen dugouts, the Scouts have built 2 of them. We were going to build a couple of wigwams with direction from others. But it's a resource. I'm worried with the fence coming down of where I've had relatives drown. I'm worried about the pond, and I'm worried about destruction and security of this. Actually, they're historic now. They were historic replicas, but they're old enough now. They might be historic. Just bringing that to your attention as the new director. We need to protect this area of the pond and the buildings.
I agree.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. With that, Councilor Milo?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Under Pioneer Village, non-personal expenses, move to approve $16,900.
Seconded.
Been moved by Councilor Milo, since it's the only matter that we can approve that whole thing. So it's been moved and seconded that the total non-personnel expenses for this line item of Pioneer Village, the amount of $16,900. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Matter carries.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. For Winter Island,
Yep.
personal expenses, move to approve $154,819.
Second.
It's been moved by Councilor Milo, seconded by Councilor Dibble, for personnel expenses at Winter Island in the amount of $154,819. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Matter carries.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Under non-personal expenses for Winter Island, move to approve $44,300.
Second.
Been moved by Councilor Milo, seconded by Councilor Dibble, of non-personnel expenses for Winter Island in the amount of $44,300. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Matter carries.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Under Winter Island, total personnel and non-personnel expenses, move to approve $199,119.
Second.
Been moved by Councilor Milo, seconded by Councilor Dibble, of total personnel and non-personnel expenses for Winter Island in the amount of $199,119. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Matter carries. Okay.
Council on Aging. We have one more.
Council on Aging.
Council on Aging.
Yes,
we're
but
doing that now.
we can
We're
bring
done.
Councilor Gerard in for that.
Join us. You take my seat. Yeah, you guys got this. How's that possible? Yeah. Okay. She said you can have her seat.
Do we have any questions? First of all, welcome,
Thank you.
and welcome to your first budget season.
Thank you.
Very exciting. Do we have any questions that have not already been asked concerning the Council on Aging? Okay. Seeing none, I will entertain a motion to approve, which would be line number 22. Yes, Counselor Milo.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Under Council on Aging, I move to approve personal expenses of $350,397.
Seconded.
It's been moved by Counselor Milo, seconded by Counselor Dibble, in the amount of personnel expenses for administration and support in the Council on Aging, $350,397. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Matter carries.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, Counselor Milo.
Under Council on Aging, non-personnel expenses, move to approve $37,950.
Second.
Been moved by Counselor Milo, seconded by Counselor Dibble, non-personnel expenses for administration and support for the Council on Aging. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Matter carries. Counselor
Thank you,
Milo.
Mr. Chair. Thank you, sir. Under total personnel and non-personnel for Council on Aging, move to approve $388,347.
Second.
Been moved by Counselor Milo, seconded by Counselor Dibble. Total personnel and non-personnel expenses for administration and support for the Council on Aging, the amount of $388,347. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Matter carries. Thank you very much. That's the shortest budget item I think we've had.
Thank you, everybody.
I know, I'll be in trouble.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, next up is the library.
Section 24.
Section 24.
Section 23.
I'm sorry, 23. I'm looking down at 24.
23. And welcome.
Thank you.
And if you could identify yourself, please.
I'm Tara Mansfield, Acting Director of the Salem Public Library.
Welcome.
Internal, Terry was there with both Nancy. Were you there for Lorraine or no? No, I don't think you were there for Lorraine, but for when Nancy was here. And Nancy is still back, at least helping out with the fiction one day a week or a few at times. So we haven't left Tara completely alone in charge of as I mentioned to a staff meeting we had earlier. Library always ranks as one of our highest levels of customer satisfaction from residents in the resident survey every year. And it always amazes me because, of course, there's no place to park around the library. They don't have their own parking lot. And I really do think it's about the people in the building who just do outstanding work in customer service, providing access, helping, going above and beyond to get people a resource that they need. And Tara certainly fits that bill, along with the very competent directors that we've had in the past.
Councilor Dibble.
For the record, I just want to let you know that I'm not going to recuse myself. I do volunteer. I run a volunteer chess club through the library. I was recruited by the library to move my club to the library last year. And I have really, really enjoyed working with your children's department staff. They are wonderful. Ambassadors for the city. Thank you.
Councilor Fury.
Mr. Chairman, I had the pleasure of working at the Salem Public Library for 6 years myself in high school and college. And then I went on to become a media specialist and in the public schools in Lynn. And Bertram Library, named after Mr. Bertram, it's really a jewel. And what makes it really special, not only the building itself, challenging as it may be, and thank goodness for who's sitting next to you is the mayor, who was so instrumental in getting the Community Preservation Act going. It's being revitalized and renewed, a new renaissance. The best part of the Salem Public Library is its personnel. At the front desk, very friendly, in the children's room, services like Councilor Dibble says, it's an exciting place because of the people, like yourself. And it's really nice to have you come from within the public library to become the director. The last couple of directors have come from within, and they know that building. It's a very challenging building, parking, facility-wise. If you had more room, I think you could do even more wonders in that room. Your computer room is such a small room, but it's totally used. It's almost like 24/7. Anybody who wants to use that computer access. Since I don't have a computer at home, I use the library for the computer. And it's just wonderful access for all generations to your computer room. Very small, cozy, but you could always use extra room. It's a beautiful library. I love sending my 5 sons there, and I love going there as a patron. So keep up the good work, and thank you.
Thank you.
Tara, is there anything more that the council can provide to the library? And I'm thinking of not just, not even so much from the general fund, but any CPA funds I'm looking at the CIP for this year, and we just approved it this past week for replacement of window frames and sills, and there have been prior CPA projects as well. Is there anything else that we can help enhance the library with its physical plant?
Oh, absolutely. We have
I
lots
figured
of
that was going to be
projects.
yes.
Probably more than you want to hear about, but yes, we have quite a few things we're working on with our architects, so we will be submitting lots of things.
You'll notice the brickwork's being done now. We obviously did some additional work prior to that on the roof. We're trying to leverage both the CPA and Mass Historic grants, and the library has been very good about, making applications that are very, I would say, references the need we have in the building in a very smart way, so that we've been able to leverage those dollars, and it's terrific for us to be able to invest in that facility. I know we've got exterior work as well, so there's definitely no shortage of things. I have a feeling
the answer was yes, absolutely.
Yeah, no, there'll be a lot of applications going forward.
But yes, please continue to do that in submitting that to the CPC, because I know that those are very welcome applications. So, anyone, Councilor Gerard.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Through you, just quickly want to say how much I do love the library, and your staff is absolutely fantastic. Just one quick question: the after-hours programs for teen, what exactly is that? What do you guys do?
It's surprisingly simple. We stay open late on Friday nights. We normally close at 5. Mm-hmm. So we have the teenagers come in at like 4:45, and they can stay until 7 or 7:30. And they just like to run all over the building. That seems to be the thing that they really enjoy. So they'll run programs like decorating cupcakes, or they'll have an activity, but mostly they like to just wander around when it's closed.
Have a place to themselves, right?
Exactly.
Night at the museum.
And we always incorporate some ghost stories, of course, to make it exciting.
Great, thank you.
Any other questions from councilors? Any questions from the public? Seeing none. Councilor Gerard.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for approval of the library personnel budget in the amount of $986,102.
Seconded.
It's been moved by Councilor Gerard, seconded by Councilor Dibble, of personnel expenses for administration in support of the library, the amount of $986,102. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Matter carries. Councilor Gerard.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for approval of the library expenses budget in the non-personnel expenses in the amount of $295,082.
Second.
It's been moved by Councilor Gerard, seconded by Councilor Dibble, of non-personnel expenses of administration in support of the library in the amount of $295,082. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Matter carries. Councilor Gerard.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move for approval of the library department total in the amount of $1,281,184.
Second.
It's been moved by Councilor Gerard, seconded by Councilor Dibble, of total personnel and non-personnel expenses of administration in support of the library in the amount of $1,281,184. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Matter carries. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Ms. Manfield, thank you. Your staff is wonderful. Please let them know.
Oh, I will. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Tara. Have a good night.
And the last shall be first with our veterans agent.
Kim.
Good to go, Kim. Come on. We warmed the seat up for you.
Yeah.
Welcome. Sir, if you could
Great to
please
be here.
identify yourself.
I am Kim Emmerling, the Director of Veteran Services.
Welcome.
Still.
Let me first say, before you get started, that the program and commemoration at Green Lawn yesterday was fantastic. It's always great every year, but it was especially poignant to me with the dedication of the marker to the Civil War veteran, and the amount of research and dedication that it took to get that done. That was to me, that was very moving. And I just wanted to commend, I mean, sitting as the Veterans Council liaison, I mean, I have this connection, but at the same time, that was phenomenal. was great.
So don't misunderstand, it's not that I discovered that. Some gentleman in Ohio actually called me and said, "Did you know?" And then we took it from there in the Veterans Council and got it all together and fixed it. So. And I'm going to send him the picture tomorrow when I get back to my office. Let him know we did. Awesome.
We've got two major changes in the veterans budget. One is having this part-time administrative staffer move to full-time. Kim's just a one-armed paper hanger, and I think we always recognized that we were going to need additional administrative staffing to help accommodate the number of veterans that we're servicing. The other complement to that is an increase in veterans benefits, so that's up just over $100,000, reflecting more accurately the amount of money we've been spending over the last several years trying to address veterans' needs within our community. As you know, 75% of those funds come back to the city. It doesn't just happen in the same fiscal year, so we're typically chasing that money over the course of the next 18 to 24 months. But Kim and his team are really diligent about filling out the paperwork. It's a reimbursement program, so you spend it and you get reimbursed for that. And there's certainly a lot more that we can say about the work that Kim does in terms of servicing veterans. I continue to get compliments and praise for the work, not only by veterans, but by their families, both in Salem and outside of Salem. Because he's such a good resource, he's constantly being called on by other communities or veterans in other communities who know they can get answers here that are accurate. And even right now, we're helping out with the city of Peabody as they're down a veterans agent. You know, we've sort of been called into service, and I think it says a lot about Kim that it wasn't even a question. And when others call, he's always trying to be helpful to do what we can to provide either a direction or navigate a system or a contact for the other veterans. And so there's definitely a lot of mutual aid going on in our community with respect to this particular division, and we just felt like we needed to give the additional resources, particularly the personnel, to help ensure that get as much work done as efficiently and professionally as possible.
I just want to commend the administration for recognizing that and bringing Kim staffing that he needs, because you have been a one-armed paper hanger, I think, for a lot of different things, and so I'm very happy to hear that we're going from part-time to full-time there.
Believe me, and I'm very appreciative of it. So she will not go underutilized, that's for sure.
Any questions? Yeah, Councilor Gerard.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just one quick question, Kim. In your goals and objectives, you talked about a workstation computer system. So have you gotten a laptop or something yet?
It's almost there. I've got the laptop and the printer so I can do some on the road work, going to clients' homes and such. But just waiting on the actual workstation piece. Okay. So that's in the works. That's only a matter of connecting the dots.
Thank you.
Councilor Fuhrer.
Councilor Sosnowski, who used to sit the seat right here, Councilor Gerard is, we'll be very proud of all the markers for all the veterans and all the squares being redone in a very appropriate way. They're very appropriate. So what you do is all year round, not just on Memorial Day, but all year round. You're a great ambassador to veterans. And not only are you a great ambassador, you're now helping out Peabody too in the same situation, a very challenging situation, but also congratulations to your son. Is your son being valedictorian of his class at the Salem Academy School? That
is correct.
You do a lot on the home front, so congratulations.
Where is he going?
It's good, yeah. He's going to Northeastern. I'm sure it's my wife's DNA. So.
Well, you don't want to take credit for anything.
Councilor Dibble first.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Kim, I just want to thank you for all that you do for all the veterans throughout the North Shore, but mostly here in Salem. You do a great job. I've known you for a number of years before you had this position. And you're on the money with your focus, so don't change. I want to thank you for the markers and the other publicity that you're doing in re-recognizing the veterans from years ago throughout the city. It's a good thing. The Memorial Day services and the parade and the ceremony at Green Lawn were wonderful. Thank you for your efforts in helping coordinate that. I had the opportunity to visit with several of the veterans who were at Green Lawn and then later at the VFW Hall, and they wouldn't let me go. We wound up shooting a game of pool, and we had another game of pool. We had a lot of fun. And one of the gentlemen was talking about, he's the owner of one of the $1 houses down on Memorial Drive from years ago. And I'm just wondering what more this council, and to take the, he's thinking of this, our chairman's thinking about this question, because he's asked it several times tonight, but he hasn't asked it yet. What more, this is an important one, what more can this council do and the city do to help you and to help veterans? What, the VFW hall, the veterans were talking about coming together and all the different entities and building a bigger and better lodge, if you would, or post for all the veterans in Salem. I don't know, what can we do to help?
I wasn't ready for that wish list to come out, but I think what the council and what the mayor has always done is just being very open. And whenever we've recognized the need for veterans, that I've always brought it forward. That the council's been and the mayor have always been positive and forthcoming with whatever is needed. So I don't really know of any great project ahead of me. Well, besides VFW, but that's got nothing to do really with the council. But and that might be leaning towards your question about consolidating some of these civic organizations. So, and that's sort of where we're going with that, because we need to do something with that building down there. So, but as far as the city goes and the veteran services, I love doing what I do, and I appreciate everything that the council and the mayor have always done. And just one of the other highlights of the year was certainly the new vehicle that we have. That's been in the works for a few years as well, but it finally came through this year. And believe me, that's one of the gems in the North Shore, because many of the other communities are jealous that we even have that capability and that benefit for veterans to be able to bring them to the different VA appointments. So.
I saw at the VFW post after the Memorial Day services, I had met a whole series of different veterans, and I'll mention Mr. Moran and Rocky and Al and Glenn and one more guy, I forgot his name, but they're wonderful ambassadors to the city and really dedicated veterans. It was a privilege to be there with them, to socialize a little bit with them. But I bumped into your predecessor, John Guy Martineau, who was down there, and the mayor was instrumental in helping as well, but my stepfather was passing away, a Salem resident years ago, a veteran, and so I saw firsthand some of the work that somebody like you will do to help our veterans. I just applaud what you do, but think about over the next course of the next year, what more this council, what more the city can do to make us we already do great things in Salem, but let's do more.
Well, one of the things Kim has mentioned is the ability to regionalize as a veterans district. It's something the state's really pushing for cities to partner up with smaller towns. We've had some outreach, and we need to do it more formally, I think, with neighboring communities in Swampscott or Marblehead. You may have noticed that in the narrative as well. That's not fully in our control, but the resources that we have through Kim, you can imagine if we had a network, every community is required to have a veterans agent, we might actually be able to do more. And people are mobile, veterans are mobile. So somebody might be here in Salem today, but they're in another community tomorrow, and to be able to have some of that as a regional basis and really have a network and an organization, not just Kim and an administrator, and does an outstanding job, but thinking about having a real network of opportunities would certainly be a direction that could provide a lot of benefits, not just to our vets, but servicing the region. And so far, we haven't been able to get a lot of traction on it, but we're going to give it another try to see if we can get some interest from surrounding towns. I believe it has to be a city and a town, not necessarily two cities.
Correct.
If that, one last question, Mr. Chair. The several comments, as I walked around, we had one-on-one conversations around the post, and they welcomed me as a new counselor and congratulated me on and on. And 3 or 4 of them mentioned a bigger and better VFW hall. So I don't know if that's something that your administration can take and assist in, where maybe different posts would come together and have a better facility. Not that there's anything wrong with that, it's just small, not the parking, whatever. There's a bunch of small issues there. But if we had a more modern facility, maybe perhaps more veterans will go and participate.
Well, and they absolutely would, and that's one of the challenges the VFW is facing right now. Is we're holding our own there at that building. It's just that we need to enhance it considerably in order to at least stay and remain a viable community member. So.
We've had some
We're looking at
discussions
that.
with the post around that particular property. It abuts Blaney Street. It would actually be very strategically a good piece of property for the city to own, considering that we own the land adjacent to it as we enter Blaney Street. Whether or not that comes to pass will really be up to the veterans, but it could be an opportunity to, grow the real estate close to the wharf, which is important to us, while also helping the VFW in terms of being able to monetize their site and make some investments. So
What
that's
I'm
been some
thinking-
internal discussions.
What I'm thinking, Mr. Chair, is that maybe through the CPA, we could find a way to leverage some of those funds to help the veterans through a new, more modern facility.
Well, I'm not sure what category they'd fit under, but certainly something to explore.
Mayor and Kim, both of you, if you
Kim
could...
and
Kim and Kim. If one or the both of you could talk about what, in the Jean Levesque Community Life Center, what the Veterans Agent facilities will look like, that would be helpful.
I mean, essentially, we're going to have much better office space, much better socialization space. So if you're familiar with the layout as proposed, you would come into the center. We were initially going to put the offices on the first floor, but I think it's been flipped as of the last review with the building committee to move the offices on the upper floor and really have all that flooring downstairs, the first floor, be programmatic space, social space. So there'll be a great room, an opportunity to have small gatherings, whether it's a book club or larger festivities like our big Thanksgiving Day dinner and things like that. So I know that there's discussion around making sure that obviously the veterans have some privacy in terms of meeting with clients and vets who are coming in, but also the larger area really becomes great space for gatherings, small or large, and hopefully support groups and things like that and the like.
And along with that, I would presume that even though the offices might be on the second floor, that'll be completely accessible in terms of elevator access for any disabled veterans or elderly folks as well.
Absolutely, and in fact, that's one of the questions I had for Jason and Trish as they left, was just the internally what it's going to look like in the office space, and it turns out there's a lot of latitude there anyway.
Yep.
The building itself will be built, but internally there's a lot of movement that can be had.
Big improvement over the luxurious space you now accommodate.
But I will say in the Council on Aging, the beautiful thing there is that there's a lot of space up there, and I've offered it up on behalf of the city to to the VA has a couple of outreach programs, and they have teams that come in there. The Lowell Vet Center has a couple of outreach programs, and they've come in there, not just to service Salem veterans, but certainly the community veterans around, just to make it more convenient for them instead of having to travel to Bedford or to Lowell or Haverhill or something like that. Their team will come down here and just camp out here for a day or two, and it's proved pretty successful so far. So.
Ideally, then, even I'm just thinking ahead for the Jean Levesque Center. You'd be able to have your programming for like a set aside a clinic or what have you, like over in in a great room within the CLC.
And there's flex space built in, so that something that might be a chess club during the day, or during a portion of the day, could have another use during a different time, so that you have the ability to run multiple programs in the same space at different times. That's really the goal.
Yep. Any other questions? Any questions from the public? Seeing none. Councilor Gerard.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move to approve the Veteran Services personnel budget in the amount of $105,101.
Second. It's been moved by Councilor Gerard, seconded by Councilor Dibble, of personnel expenses for administration and support for the Veterans Agent, the amount of $105,101. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Matter carries. Councilor Gerard.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move, any of you. I move to approve the Veterans Agent non-personnel expenses in the amount of $522,709.
Second. It's been moved by Councilor Gerard, seconded by Councilor Dibble, that non-personnel expenses in the amount of $522,709 for administration and support for Veterans Agent. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Matter carries. Counselor Gerard.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move for approval of the Veterans Agent Department total in the amount of $627,810.
Second.
It's been moved by Counselor Gerard, seconded by Counselor Dibble. Total personnel and non-personnel expenses for administration and support veterans agent in the amount of $627,810. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Matter carries. And before we adjourn, I just wanted to ask committee members and also the mayor and Ms. Stanton on, I think it is for scheduling, we have a couple of items within administration and finance that I know I would like to have back out at the next the next council meeting. And so I was hoping to maybe to schedule some things there. When we have, and I don't have that in front of me at the moment, and I apologize, when we have our, no, I do. Here we go. When we have our finance department budget approval on Monday night, I would like to have, at the beginning of that meeting, the parking issue of the parking order.
Designated spaces.
Exactly.
Yep,
I'd like to get that scheduled that day, in the beginning of the meeting, preferably. And then we'll post that with the committee of the whole, so I'll let Eileen know that.
Anybody else you want for that, like the parking
Alan will be
director?
here.
Alan will be here, he'll be here anyways.
Yeah, okay. That's what's trying to kill two birds with one stone,
Yeah, no,
basically.
perfect, yeah, perfect.
And then on, this is actually more toward the committee members for Emerton House on the CPA question that Councilor Milo referred to committee. Do we want to schedule that for first thing on Tuesday, June 7th?
That's fine.
And what I would ask, that's the night that we do Police and the Harbor Master. We'll have it posted for 6 p.m., but Sarah, I'm just wondering if we could just tell Chief Butler and Harbor Master McHugh, they don't need to get here any earlier than 6:30.
Absolutely, yep, I can let them know.
That I think would make sense.
We're also doing the capital orders that evening, that's the first one for that.
On the
as well.
7th?
Yep,
I thought we were doing those on the 9th.
we are, but the initial review, so you want an additional meeting to review the capital as one document, so we included that in.
You've been doing them in
Yeah,
here.
yeah, but just as a buffer, in case we have more questions, we also put aside that time as well.
But we have don't we have some capital issues under schools?
Yep.
So,
Yeah, the vote is not till the 9th, you would ask to put aside those, just for additional capital discussion if things come up or there needs to be follow-ups.
sure, okay.
If not,
I'm gonna ask folks as we're going through these to ask their questions during the department meetings.
Yep.
And the department orders. And then also on the 7th, I think we should put, I suppose any discussion about the revolving funds as well.
sure, yep, we can discuss then, absolutely.
So, okay, so basically, we're loading up Tuesday. So the first thing on Tuesday, we'll do the CPA Emerton House issue. And then at some point that evening, we'll also do the revolving accounts.
Fire has been moved up, so we have some extra time that night.
Fire is now on Thursday,
Yep.
this Thursday.
The chief is going to look at the new truck, so he'll be out of town.
Okay. Great. Any questions, or Councilor Dibble?
Can we just spend 30 seconds and just so we get the calendar straight on what remaining meetings we have and what we're tackling on each one?
Sure, and that's actually good for the public to know as well, because we're still on SATV. So next meeting will be Thursday, June 2nd, starting at 6 p.m. here in the chambers, City Hall chambers. We will have the mayor's office, the legal department, human resources, the city clerk's office, the city council, the elections department, the Planning Department, including the Conservation Commission, Planning Board, Market and Tourism, Historic Commission, and then we're also having the Fire Department that night.
And legal includes licensing as well?
It does, yes. It includes both the solicitor and licensing. And human resources under that includes administration, workers' comp, unemployment, and the GIC. On Monday, June 6th, again starting at 6 p.m., we're going to start off as we've just discussed, and I'll make sure that there's official notice through Eileen. But the parking space order will be taken up first as we deal with both parking and the finance department. Then we'll go into the remaining departments. And just as a side note, Sarah, for any of this, I felt bad for Kim, like waiting here the whole time. If you want to stagger these things where you tell folks to come in a little later, I'm fine with that.
Yeah, we can do that. I think for department heads, they, at least in many of the directors, they kind of like to support each other. So oftentimes we'll say, don't worry about it, you can come later, but everyone's sort of a team effort here, but I can definitely let them know.
I know Trish, this was her first time. She also didn't mind being, like on deck a little bit to watch what was happening with the other batters as we were going through that. So, but I just give that. I felt bad for you. You've been here the whole time, so.
I'm a cheerleader.
Yeah.
He loves it here.
All right. So then, so we start off with parking and finance, and then we have the assessor, the collector, IT, data processing, fixed costs, GIS, purchasing, treasurer, and that includes admin, debt, assessments, pensions, Medicare, municipal insurance, enterprise funds, sewer, water assessments, and debt.
Yep.
And then we round out the day with inspectional services division with public property inspections, Board of Appeals, fixed costs, health, and electrical. That's a really full day.
It is, but I gotta say, a lot of the treasury stuff
treasury will quickly.
Finance is typically a tighter process. The assessors is a smaller budget, finance is a smaller budget, collectors, Bonnie Selly is not even going to be here. Alan Sulliway is hoping to be here, but he has something scheduled, so it's actually, that ends up being a little bit quicker, I think, than some of the budgets this evening, because so much of the cost is personnel in all of
some of them are rote, like they're, but happy to.
I'm just conscious of it, that's all. Okay, and then Tuesday, then we would take up the, first thing would be the CPA Emerton House issue. Then we would go into public safety with the police and the harbor master. We'll also address revolving accounts, and then we'll deal with the a general discussion on the bonds for both water, sewer, capital equipment, and capital improvement projects, as well as capital equipment and capital improvement projects. General discussion, and then finally on Thursday at 6 p.m. prior to our regular city council meeting. We'll take up the Salem Public School budget, which has already been approved by the school committee, Our job will essentially be to just look at the bottom line number on that. And we'll also take votes at that time as a committee on the bond issues and on the revolving accounts.
I have June 8th on my calendar, but we're not meeting that at that time.
We are not.
Okay, I'll take that.
So we have both Wednesdays off.
Thank you.
Enjoy. Councilor Dibble.
Point of personal privilege, if I may, for those that are in attendance here in the chambers, as well as those viewing at home. Tomorrow, June 1st, Wednesday, from 4 to 9, there is a fundraiser at the Village Tavern in downtown Salem next to the theater for Salem Special Education, the CPAC. Should be a fun one. Hopefully you all will join me there from 4 to 9 tomorrow.
Can I just, one piece of information we're going to get back to are those golf course numbers.
We have it. So it was estimated revenue for FY15, or actual revenue for FY15 was $719,000. For FY16, we're estimating a little bit under, only because we had a little bit delayed of a start in the season because it was a little rainy and messy, so we're hoping about 720. This year, we're estimating revenues about 705,000.
The offset, though, in terms of looking at this as an enterprise fund, we can get you those numbers.
Yeah.
It used to be, it was just about a wash. Might be a little bit more. The revenue numbers are a little bit higher now. So if you're looking at roughly $500,000 in costs, throw in some additional indirects, it might be throwing off a little bit more revenue than I indicated earlier. So I don't want to, we can get you those numbers.
We have done, the golf course manager, to speak to the point earlier, has done some, I think some really critical budgeting in terms of what the actual costs are and making the golf course, I think, pretty top-notch. And so as a result of that, I think where there used to be less investment in sort of the capital infrastructure of it and investment in grounds maintenance, maybe there was a little bit more of an opportunity to not necessarily break even, to make a little more in revenue. So the gap's closing for sure.
Thank you. Good job.
Anything further? Councilor Gerard.
Motion to adjourn.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
Thank you.